My job, like my life is a medieval court jester, so apparently this is going to teach me what that was like, but I'm pretty sure I know everything so I can predict everything, so I'm not going to be surprised by a single thing in this fucking video. But let's start it.
Your story begins in the countryside, where you grew up among the common folk.
Oh my god, literally me!
From a young age, you've had a knack for making people laugh.
I don't know about that.
Whether it was through quick-witted remarks, mimicry of the local baron, or daring
Mimicry of the
stunts
local
at
baron.
village festivals, your talent for entertainment didn't go unnoticed. One day, during a harvest festival,
Oh my
your
god,
performance caught the eye of a
Harvest
traveling
Moon?
noble who decided to bring you to court as a source of amusement. While most jesters were
BGM on, I'm gonna shit myself.
recruited
Not
from
anymore,
within the
bitch.
royal court
Pro streamer.
and its noble families, you're a rare case. A commoner who
I'm a
earned their
rare
way
case.
into court life through sheer talent.
So court jesters are usually not royalty, what I'm hearing from this, what I'm gleaning from this?
Arriving at court was like stepping into another world. You quickly learned that being a jester wasn't just about being funny. Nobles loved a good laugh, but they also valued wit and insight. To succeed, you had to master the art of satire and wordplay. You started small, performing for the household staff and lesser nobles, gradually earning your place in the king's inner circle. Your tools of the trade were a lute or other instrument you are proficient with, a quick wit, and an outfit designed to make you stand out. Contrary to popular belief, the cap and bells, hat, and jester's motley, the iconic checkered
They're kind of
outfit,
cute though, like the
weren't
outfits.
the universal uniform of jesters in your era. It was more of a Renaissance thing. Your attire is more subdued, but still playful, featuring colorful fabrics and maybe a...
Nope, this is not a jester. I refuse. Whoever designed, like, the first jester outfit was fucking cooking. They were on some good shit.
simple cap or hood to mark your role and capture some
not
attention.
my jester.
One of your signature
I would
accessories
never let
is
my
a
jester
marot,
dress like
a
this.
small staff topped with a carved head, often a miniature version of yourself.
Aww.
The marot isn't just for show. It serves as a prop during performances, which you often use as a shaming tool. Bashing or imitating the person you are mocking.
This is when you ban someone in Twitch chat. You... I need to get a jester model that has a fucking marot, and then I bring it out whenever I want to ban someone. It's the
You might also use it to mimic conversations, emphasize punchlines, or even as a satirical representation of
So it's like a it's like that, but like medieval.
authority. The marot is a versatile tool you use often to drive points across, and is as much a part of your identity as your wit and charm.
Wait, they're
As
actually
the court
VTubers.
jester, your role quickly grew in scope and importance. What began as simple performances soon evolved into a unique position of influence and trust.
He's not even
The
doing the
king,
trick right.
surrounded by flatterers, appreciated your rare gift, delivering unvarnished truths wrapped in clever humor. Your performances were the highlight of court gatherings. One evening, the nobles grew restless as the banquet delayed, and the mood turned sour. You
And he's gonna
stepped
save the
forward,
day!
tapping your marot with a grin. "My lords and ladies," you proclaimed, "if patience is a virtue, then this hall must be the most virtuous in the kingdom." The room erupted in laughter, the tension dissolving as cups were raised in a toast.
Fire! Oh,
From
yeah!
that moment, your ability to turn frustration into festivity became a hallmark of your role.
I do think being able to improvise comedy is the real telling of a true comic. Being able to do it on the spot is so impressive to me. I want to be more like that. I feel like I get like one banger a stream, and then there are some people who like every other word they say is a banger. Forgot to care. Thank you for the tier 3 and the 8 months. I appreciate it.
You also became the court's unofficial master of ceremonies, using humor to ease tension and bring levity to stiff occasions. When a particularly self-important ambassador arrived, weighed down...
Do you think when the king got like assassinated by one of his allies, the jester was like, "Guys, 'tis just business"?
By an overly elaborate robe, you stepped forward and proclaimed, "My lords and ladies, let us welcome the only man whose attire can rival the royal treasury." The court burst into laughter, and even the ambassador, after a moment of hesitation, cracked a smile. With moments like these, you transformed potential
I
awkwardness
want to be a jester.
into camaraderie and secured your place as a vital presence in the court. In your day-to-day life, you were considered
I like how, like, every time he's drawn, he has, like, the smug, like, sense of superiority
The
expression.
jack of all trades,
I would have an insane sense of smug superiority if I was, like, a medieval court jester. Are you fucking joking?
meaning that you're
Like, I'm the only one who can look at the king and be like, aha, you're fucking shit and you smell like ass. And then he laughs at me instead of fucking decapitating me.
days were often full of activities. Mornings were often spent perfecting your craft, refining jokes, rehearsing songs, and practicing acrobatics.
That's a good fucking
Midday
room.
offered opportunities to observe court life, gather gossip, and craft material for your next performance. While evenings were your time to shine, bringing levity and wit to grand feasts or intimate gatherings.
Do you think they would post, like, the jester stream time on the walls or some shit?
Outside of these regular duties, when your talents were not immediately needed, you were expected to assist with more mundane tasks within your lord's household. One day, you might attend council meetings. The next, you could be folding bedsheets. Beyond entertainment, your
This is so me. When I'm not streaming, I have to do chores. It sucks.
role carried unexpected responsibilities. You often served as the eyes and ears of your lord, reporting on court activities. This unique perspective led to you becoming an informal chronicler of courtly life, capturing moments that might otherwise be forgotten. Some jesters were well-educated and multilingual, capable of engaging with foreign dignitaries during tense negotiations.
It sounds like being a court jester would be insanely stressful, though. I wonder if the video's gonna get into that.
Although being a commoner limited your opportunities for education, it did not stop you from trying.
Because, like, think about the fact that, like, for every streamer that somebody likes, there are also people that don't like that streamer. And then imagine you're a court jester, and the people you're trying to appeal to are people who are, like, extremely wealthy and powerful, and you have to appease them. And then if, like, enough of them don't like you, something terrible could fucking happen to you. Like, that would... It's not just, oh, if people don't like you as a streamer, you might read a mean comment every now and then. Nah, they're gonna get your ass killed, bro.
Jesters like you also acted as bridges between nobles and commoners, occasionally performing for townsfolk during festivals
Back
or
to the
public
roots.
events. These appearances
He's like,
strengthened
never
your
forget where you
connection to broader
started.
society, reinforcing your role as a voice that
Guys, what is this? What is the video creator trying to say about this guy right here?
transcended class boundaries. Your ability to charm both the court and the streets solidified your place as an indispensable figure of the realm.
He's thinking of Rune Factory 4.
Your
Oh, that's
duties
literally
often
me.
extended beyond the safety of the court. You might accompany the king's retinue on military campaigns, providing both entertainment and a
wanna learn how to
calming
juggle.
presence for weary soldiers. Jesters were sometimes entrusted with delivering sensitive messages, even crossing enemy lines, to propose terms or negotiate truces. These missions carried significant risks. A single misstep could endanger your life.
No, my
Yet your
Jester!
unique blend of humor and courage made you particularly suited for such precarious tasks. The dangerous nature of your position was a constant reality. A single ill-timed joke could shift you from favor
Yeah.
to disfavor.
Yeah, it's
Rival
just like
jesters
streaming.
also brought their own challenges, especially when visiting nobles wanted to showcase their entertainers as a way to appease the king. On one occasion, you found yourself in
Lucas,
a
welcome.
joke duel
Nice
to
one.
defend your reputation.
A joke
Emerging
duel?
victorious with
Is it
a quip
actually a joke?
that left the hall roaring with laughter.
Oh, is this like a roast comedy club central?
While these moments secured your place, they also underscored the delicate balance you had to maintain every day. After years of serving the court, the strain of your role began to take its toll. The constant
Oh,
pressure to
no.
perform, the need to navigate shifting political dynamics, and the ever-present risk of offending the wrong person wore on you. As professional theater and organized entertainment grew in popularity, the role of the court jester gradually diminished. No longer the central figure of courtly amusement, jesters began to fade into the margins of history.
No, they fell off? Even jesters fall off?
However, you were fortunate. The king, who had come to see you as both confidant and counselor, granted you a small estate in recognition of your years of service. Retiring from court life, you returned to the countryside, where you occasionally entertained at local festivals and passed your skills on to aspiring jesters. You also carried with you the
Aspiring
stories of the
jesters.
court, keeping alive the history of an era through your unique lens. Though the golden age of jesters eventually ended,
Rip.
your legacy endured. The humor, insight, and courage you brought to your role influenced future generations of entertainers.
We have to bring back jesters. We have to bring back jesters. I'm so serious. Like, every modern nation now needs a jester, okay? We need to have, like, a president, a prime minister. Everyone needs, like, a jester. We have to bring this back into society. I think it's going to make life better.
Leaving a definite mark on the cultural fabric of your time.
They're called streamers now. No!
Thank you very much for watching.
They need to be next to the equivalent of the king
If you enjoyed
to
the
be
video,
a jester!
please consider liking.
Replace the kick streamers with jesters. It'll probably be higher quality content, yeah. How Mario Kart 8 Deluxe triggers you. This is definitely what I'm gonna play with my friends, by the way.
Warning! The following product is provided by Nintendo. Yup, the Big N sent me
The Big N? Do not say it like that.
this game. And now, I'm gonna nitpick this game because of reasons.
This editing is
Why
so
is Pink Gold Peach still in this
ADHD-pilled
game?
already.
So we got Mario, Baby Mario, Tanuki Mario, Metal Mario.
Okay, but Tanuki Mario is kind of serving. He's kind of cute as fuck, actually. He's kawaii.
And now, Gold Mario! That's
Yeah, fuck that,
5
that's stupid.
freaking Marios! You don't even unlock any of the characters besides Gold Mario. Wow, what a great and original character to
Oh.
unlock! If you were one of the few
What?
people to buy
Why?
Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, well, Nintendo wants you to buy basically the same game again for full price. So how is
Many such cases. Many such cases. Pay us for the game you already own and pay to update it.
King Boo supposed to push on the brakes? Mario doesn't scream Deluxe when shouting out the title of the game.
Mario Kart 8!
Charles Martinet couldn't say one extra
That's Mario's voice?
word for you? Really? You can't transfer your Mario Kart 8
What?
Wii U
That
data
is
to this
not-
game.
not my
So you have
Mario.
to get 3
Not
stars
my
on all the cups
Mario.
all over again and unlock all the car parts. You can't turn off the time limit in battle mode. Only one more amiibo suit? That's so dumb! Why doesn't the helmet at least look good? It's just a helmet! Make it look like the Inkling girl's hair or something! Smart
just think a
steering,
lot of
huh?
helmets are
I'm
ugly in
certainly not
general.
getting smarter with this handicap. Also, there's auto accelerate, just in case you forgot how to push a button. The new info section is cute and all, but I think everyone already knows how to play this game.
I do not know how to play the game. You know what that info section is for? Idiots like me. Think before you speak.
For a second, I thought the screen confirmed fake item boxes returned, but no. They just fooled me. The online messages you can send to others are still
that's
safe
gone?
and boring. Fire hopping doesn't
Hello? Because if you guys could send your actual thoughts to children on Mario Kart 8 online, you would be in a fucking prison cell.
work anymore. The purple
Hydration.
sparks are cool, but you'll almost never use them. I had to rescan all of my amiibo again. If you pause the game and are holding an item, you'll always turn on or off the smart steering, which can be a bit of a nuisance. Trust me, you'll understand once you try it. Thank you, Nintendo, for bringing the Boo item back, but sometimes he spawns like 6
Oh my God,
times
that
in
Princess
one
Peach
race.
is so
Instead of a character
cute.
getting sidelined, can't they just be eliminated like the old days? Or turn into a bomb cart? Don't even bother playing this game with the Joy-Con sideways, unless carpal tunnel is your thing. Throwing the bombs is controlled
shit.
differently and
Who the hell even uses the Joy-Cons anymore? Mine fucking drift like a motherfucker. I can't use them. If I ever wanted to use them, I can't use them. I have to use controllers.
Bob-on Blast compared to everything else in the game. Battle Stadium has way too many narrow roads and sadly feels more like an actual track than a battle track. You
People
can
who can't afford a pro controller, that's not it! That's not it!
still only save 6 highlights. So they changed the look of the first screen of the menu, but nothing else? I mean, a couple tiny things are different, but they should have just revamped everything. What's with Bowser and the fancy
Is Mario Kart 8 basically just Mario Kart 7, but it's the same game, but they just wanted to sell it again?
cars? In battle mode, sometimes when I'm just trying to brake, I end up doing that 180-degree turn without wanting to.
Bro.
I still can't customize what buttons do what. Battle Course 1. Wow, what a clever title. Tilt controls are still a thing. When a race is loading, Nintendo added a
And yet the #1 thing that pisses me off about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is that it's a Nintendo game.
Little inkling
Is he gonna
figure to the
include that?
bottom, but where is my Dry Bones figure? But really though, where is the remake of Block Fort, the best battle track of all time? Shouldn't coin runners be called coin drivers? This isn't Sonic R, okay? We're driving. Wouldn't it be nice if the super horn could
It
kill a
doesn't
blooper?
matter, you're
And worst of all,
nitpicking.
why can't I play the old battle tracks?
Moo
I went
Mouse,
too far
that's
there, didn't I?
cute.
So if you want my actual opinion on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, then make sure to check out my review of the game. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and
Why the fuck would you send me this video, chat? I don't even know the first thing about Mario Kart 8. I walked away more confused. I know even less about the game. I think you're driving cars and trying to race people. Like, that's the maximum that I know. Anyway, this video is called The Illusion of Child Safe Mode.
Okay, now, do you remember how to play?
Yep.
There you go. Oh, actually, nearly forgot. There we
Oh.
Thanks, Dad.
Hi, Billy!
Hey, Andrew.
Hi, Billy!
Oh my god, it's Greg! Hi, Greg!
Hi, Greg.
Ah, hello, adventurers. You both sound young.
Yeah, my dad's letting me play on his account.
Okay, I have no idea what that
Aw.
means, but anyway, there are bandits up ahead. We gotta free the prisoners from the bandit camp.
Accept.
Great, let's go.
This is so
There they are, adventurers.
cute.
Go ahead, and I will stay here.
I'm gonna use my sleep stick.
I'm gonna use my spells.
Why are they so good at doing a young boy voice?
Go to sleep, bandit.
And sleep!
This is so much fun.
I love it.
Greg, come on.
Yeah, okay.
Look at all the treasure.
Can we
I hate when somebody chops my head off with a sword and then I have to take a really long nap.
take the treasure?
I think so.
Zeusington, welcome.
Treasure.
Oh, yeah, I see. Some people sleep with their eyes open. Sometimes.
I know that one. Oh, look, another bandit.
Here we go, and sleep! He fell down.
Yeah, that was funny. Greg, look out behind you.
How about I use my balloon pop spell?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, it's on easy difficulty, so the enemies don't even attack you. Right. Oh. Ah! The confetti instead of blood! It's kind of more horrifying than if it was blood, you know?
Oh, look, the prisoners.
We need to save them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to save the prisoners. That's why we're here.
I wonder if I can put them to sleep.
Try it.
Oh, no.
Sleep.
Oh,
Here we go.
no. Oh!
So much fun. Come on, Greg.
Let's go.
Down this way.
More questing.
Yeah.
Ah! Hey, guys.
It's just a nap. It's just a little Betty bye time. It's Amimin. It's Susu. It's just a nap. It's not a big deal. Like, I don't know, man. If you're gonna let your kid play a game where they can kill people, just commit, right? Like, just commit.
Talking about today.
Okay, so here's a video about Femboys Explained. I've heard about this video, but never actually watched it. So let's watch it together. You know, I think I'm gonna have a lot more education than this guy is going to have on the subject. So let's see if he has anything new to teach me.
What are we talking about today? Femboys. Colloquially might be called fembology. I think technically speaking is femboyology. Again, colloquially as femboys with an I. In terms of pronunciation, I think we are.
It is not true that it must be pronounced with an I or spelled with an I. It is optional, like fairy. You can spell it F-A-I-R-Y or you can spell it F-A-E-R-I-E, okay? It is up to vibes. It's a vibe check.
About femboys.
Femboys.
As most of our definitions do. Coming from Wikipedia, femboy is a slang term for a young male who displays traditionally feminine characteristics.
Stress on the traditionally, guys.
Who displays traditionally, right, feminine characteristics. A little bit of history. The word femboy.
Imagine a femboy character that's like with the traditional feminine traits, but they create him with only the worst female feminine traits. And so all he does is like he goes to Target and he gets mad at the workers and like he Karens them. And then he goes to Starbucks and then he gets mad at the baristas. Yeah.
Emerges
kinda crazy.
by at least the 90s, the 1990s, and beginning as a sort of derogatory term for a man.
It was derogatory?
Didn't adhere to, here's the word again,
I thought that the derogatory word for men who acted like women was sissy. Or, you know, that.
traditional standards of masculinity, being a slang shortening of the word feminine. Right here.
I've never
And
heard
boy-
femboy used as like an insult before.
Obviously coming from the fact that they are male. It does seem that, especially in internet culture, that femboy, the term femboy, has emerged as
Well, I'm young. You
sort
guys
of
have heard it
a
before?
positive term, appealing to a range of individuals who might be attracted to a mix of feminine and masculine traits, perhaps even prompting a genre of internet media. In recent times, the platform Pornhub has even introduced the term femboy as a searchable
There's
category
a tag?
on its website.
I don't believe you. I may need to investigate the verity of this claim post-stream. Just so that I can check and I can confirm for you, chat, that it is in fact true and that I have not spread misinformation online.
And that happened in 2013. And
Iteration.
since then, the search interest for the term has dramatically increased. So, again, we're going back to the idea of the origins of femboy being, Wikipedia states derogatory and becoming more and more, you could say perhaps is, dare I say, co-opted. I would like to make the comparison to like the word weeaboo, weeb, starting as something a little derogatory, but being used sometimes tongue-in-cheek, but definitely becoming a sort of positive term.
I still don't really love the word weeb, but I do accept that I am one. Like, if you get insulted, but they're right about what they're saying, you have to own it. And that's how I feel about the word weeb.
I do think it's not wrong of me to say that someone that we would think fits in this category of femboy would refer to themselves as a femboy. Femboy, the term, right, as I just said, it came to be adopted as a self-descriptor. Descriptor for guys who tend toward presenting feminine, a scale of femininity, some more than others, some less.
Are you going to give us examples? Please give examples.
Sexual purposes, right? These persons adopt femininity as a form of everyday expression, gender expression, right? Donning a conventionally...
It's a gender expression? I thought it was an aesthetic expression.
Traditionally, feminine aesthetic by wearing, it could be a range, right? It can include all of the
CC
following.
only knows fanboy. It's funny, I'm just ignoring it.
Wearing makeup, feminine clothing, dresses, thigh highs, panties, garter belts, and chokers.
He's getting very distracted, as I am. Being
a femboy, it doesn't necessarily tie to any sexual orientation. Very often, question is it gay? Complicated answer.
Is it gay?
I know you want a yes or no answer, and it cannot be done. To tackle the question, are femboys gay? Very common question. A little uninformed and, a little ignorant if you ask me, but I'm not here to judge, I'm here to teach.
What the fuck is this?
In quantum mechanics, Schrodinger's cat is a thought experiment that illustrates a paradox of quantum.
There's no way you can start "Are femboys gay?" and then say "in quantum mechanics"
superposition. Schrodinger's cat, literally a cat in this thought experiment, is encased in this box, right? And there's a
This is a good
flask of
theory.
poison right here and a radioactive source placed in a sealed box. If an internal monitor, in this case a Geiger counter, detects radioactivity as in a single atom decaying, the flask right here is shattered, releasing the noxious poison, which in turn
Please don't kill the
kills
little cat. That's such a cute cat drawing.
The Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics implies that after a while, the cat is simultaneously both alive or dead. The thought experiment is that once you look into the box, you can see that the cat is either going to be alive or dead. When you literally open the box, you can't see it both be alive and dead. It's either going to be alive or dead.
This is important. Write this down. Take notes.
Before you observe it to be.
I love making references to Schrodinger's cat.
Before you open the box to look inside and see it, it's either alive or dead until you confirm it. Schrodinger's cat, or another aka Schrodinger's femboy.
Incredible
gay
fucking
and
subtitles.
not gay at the same time. It does.
I think this guy on 4chan said it best. He said, I'm straight, and so if it makes my dick hard, it's not gay. And I honestly think that that is the right answer. If you like the femboys, but you're like, I'm not gay, then it's not gay. If you're gay and you say you like femboys, then it's gay. You know, I think that's the root of all of this. I think that's the root of it. Okay? It's all about you know yourself better than anyone else. You don't have to overthink whether liking femboys is gay or not. If you like it and you don't think you're gay, it must not be gay.
It doesn't feel right to say it's strictly gay, but it's definitely not straight. This harkens back to the definition of gender expression being.
Do you like femboys? Did I take the tag out of my fucking Twitch?
Feminine as a guy. The world is not black and white.
Hydration.
Binaries. We work in shades of gray.
Ugh.
Or shades of gay.
Shades of
Any
gay.
questions about that? I think I'm being pretty straightforward about this. Being a femboy, dressing effeminate, again, can be a sort of gender expression role. It doesn't always have to be sexual. However, maybe a little misguided to completely ignore that side of things. So, we're going to be talking about, and this is a subject that I'm very familiar with.
I'm guilty of sexualizing femboys. Please take me to the authorities. I must be punished.
In fact, our groundbreaking research on this subject is what got me my initial platform here at Ligma University. We're going to be talking about the bussy. Why is it so submissive and breedable? We talk about the bussy, we talked about submissive and breedable, and that the intersection, the union rather, is bussy, but we never answered the question, why the bussy? On the surface level, one might consider a male's entrance to be the exact opposite of breedable. When compared to the conventional.
You know what they say, men can't get pregnant, but I will never stop trying. And that's how I feel about femboys.
Woman's bussy, or wussy, as I call it. But that is the exact reason why the bussy is so desirable. I think it has to do with subversion. The fact that the male entrance is not supposed to be bred makes it that much more
I love the fucking subtitles.
desirable.
They're so
like
wrong.
A cookie
It's
jar
amazing.
that your mom left out. You can only have one after dinner. Don't go near that cookie jar. Don't go, hey, get away from my bussy. Again, a woman's bussy, a wussy, is traditionally, biologically meant to be bred, but to breed another male, to dominate another male. I mean, what is more masculine than that?
Right,
I can't think of anything more masculine than making another male submit their bussy to you. The ultimate act of
the Romans
masculinity.
agreed. The Romans, the Greeks, they were onto something.
Of heterosexuality, if I've ever seen it. Fight or flight. You're in the wild.
It's extremely straight.
For, that bussy in the jungle. It's about who is the apex predator, who is the apex bussy blaster in the
bussy
wild.
Destroyer.
Eat or get eaten. little bit of history. Not sure how you pronounce this.
What the fuck?
Kocek. What is the kocek? The kocek, plural being koçekler, in Turkish, was typically a very handsome young male. Unfortunately, perhaps a slave.
In Japanese, they have a word for femboys. It's just bishonen.
Rakas.
Or bishonen if you actually want to pronounce it
usually
right.
cross-dressed in feminine attire and was employed as an entertainer. We don't have any pictures, of course. Pictures didn't exist back then, but I imagine something like this.
Listen, we're talking about before femboy became popular. If you want to talk about a guy who had like a pretty charm of like being a man but being pretty like a woman, it was bishonen. Otoko no ko, I'm pretty sure, is way more recent.
Kocek,
Similar to
before
femboy.
starting their
Kind of like we had pretty boy back in the day for a feminine looking guy.
performance, these Turkish
That's literally
dancers,
linked.
these
I know, he's the
koceks,
best. He's number
male
one.
dancers, would dance among the spectators to rile them up, to get them more excited. And this really speaks
I
to
would get very excited.
How, you know, we talk about why the bussy. This is why. The competition to garner the attention of these koceks by people sitting in the audience often caused so much commotion and altercations, fights. Men in the audience would go wild. They would literally fight each other. They'd break their glasses. They would shout, kill each other. Yes, you heard me.
Men used to be more confident about their pursuit of pussy.
Men
Nowadays, they're worried about being gay.
would kill each other for the bussy. History, if we don't learn from it, we're doomed to repeat ourselves. And it seems like we are repeating in full force. The femboys have existed for a very long time, and this seems to be encoded in our DNA.
You're telling me if Astolfo was belly dancing in front of you, you wouldn't kill a man to get some of it?
Bussy, bussy. Yes, because we see the remnants of the kocek still today. What does this remind you of? Right here. I don't think it's rhetorical, because I think you know the remnants of the kocek still today. That is Link, Gerudo Link, yes, from the Breath of the Wild.
That's what you were referring to.
Another example could be Lilac
That
Cookie
as well.
from Cookie Run Kingdom. These are artifacts, and the reason why we like it so much is because, it's in the blood of our ancestors. I think we would be wrong to talk about femboys without at least mentioning the word
again.
trap.
Not this again.
Do not like this
Presented
word.
without
But
commentary.
to not talk
Hydration.
about this word in discussion with femboys, it's just ignoring the
Pluggy boy,
obvious.
welcome.
I don't like this word. The implication of the word trap implies this, like, secretive, like, almost malicious, like, undercover, like you're tricking people, right? Deceitful, like you're tricking them, or you're trapping.
I can see why some people interpret it that way, okay? But in my experience, whenever this trope has been in an anime, it's usually a big surprise moment, but there's never like a negative connotation towards it. It's always a guy being like, "Oh my god, that's a guy?" And then it's just like, "Wow, that was the reveal about that character." I think it's more so people associating negative things with it than it is to so much like actually being negative.
Them, right? And so, the origins of the word, I think, were referring to, like, in anime, a boy that is effeminate, that looks like a girl, right? Sometimes more attractive than the girl. Not to be confused with a trap, as in the ghetto, where people are stuck in a cycle of selling drugs and hustling to survive, and therefore trapped and unable to leave and make a better life for themselves. No, that's the trap. We're talking about traps.
Trap.
I think originally it was supposed to stay, in terms of fictional realm, right? But I don't know who co-opted this word, started to apply it to real people. That's when we start to get into this territory of, again, I don't like this pretext of, like, we're trapping people. I really don't like this use of the word, and why I think this is very outdated, right? Like, first and foremost, it's being used, like, with malicious intent. It's being used as a derogatory term, right?
Certainly
First
some
and
people
foremost.
do.
But there's a secondary aspect that I think we aren't even acknowledging. which is
I remember the memes, like back on Crunchyroll, when it would be like, do you think this character's hot? Well, it's a guy. And that's it. They would say, it's this word right here, like at the bottom. Okay? Like this is my memory of the terminology.
that it's fundamentally flawed and wrong to equate the word trap with a femboy, or to equate the idea of a trap with a femboy. Why? Because I'm not being fooled. I'm actively seeking out the dick and the bussy. I'm not being fooled. My intention is first and foremost that these are men, that they have.
All right, so remember when he said it's like Schrodinger's scrotum's gay, and it's like both gay and not gay? Not Lando. Lando is specifically being gay about it. All right, so just so we can clear that up.
Dick. At this point, it's just, again, forget the derogatory usage of it. It's just simply not right. It's counterintuitive to the modern appreciation, the modern usage of people being femboys. Because I think if you're a male and you want to be a femboy, I don't think that it's not right for you to feel like you need to pretend to not be male. I think the point of fembology,
what is he talking about?
Of femboyology, is that it can be a sort of empowering feeling. You can be a femboy and not be afraid to say that I can be.
Yeah, bro. Wear the panties and rock your bulge. That's hot.
Effeminate and a male. I'm not trapping anyone. I'm not fooling anyone. That's not my intention. And if you're seeking it out in that term, we're not about that. Why do I feel strongly about this? Because I myself have engaged the practice, and I guess this comes to my next point. The next question is,
this is
the
why
question
I said,
is, I'm talking about femboys.
I told you.
We're lecturing about femboys. Professor Lando, are you a femboy? I will be providing you some contextual media for reference.
Contextual media?
So,
oh my God.
In my research in fembology, I was in the...
There is a non-zero number of Professor Lando viewers who jerked off to this clip looping over and over again.
Field some anthropological work as a femboy. And this is me practicing the art of fembology.
You killed it though? It's a good cosplay.
In the field, right? Some people,
+1 Da Vinci? You know you don't have to tell me things like you just not admit that, okay?
And they go across the seas to help impoverished nations, impoverished communities. Some people do missionary work for the church. Some people enlist in the military.
Best teacher in the world.
Put their lives on the line. I dressed up as a Stolfo.
Professor, you about to make me act up in class again. You're about to get a 0 for sexually harassing the fucking teacher.
And an anime convention. To classify someone as a femboy? Is there a ratio of time spent dressing up feminine, wearing makeup, doing feminine things versus being, masculine, or just being, themselves as in male?
The threshold of femboy.
That seems like gatekeeping to me. And that doesn't seem right. Is every once in a while enough to be a femboy? You want to say that you can just be a femboy no matter how much, but however, if you're trying to lose weight and every day you eat McDonald's and one day out of the month you eat a salad, doesn't mean you're dieting. You know what I mean?
Fuck you, that's gatekeeping, asshole!
And do I have to constantly shave my body to be a femboy every day? Do I even need to do it at all? I don't know. Saying it out loud, I want to say no. Once a femboy, always a femboy. Much like...
I understand what he's saying here, though, but I think gatekeeping is okay to a certain extent. Although femboy is not really a thing that needs to be gate-kept, I don't think. Yeah, that sounds kind of silly just saying it out loud. Hearth Guy, welcome!
The Marines. I think a femboy lecture would not be really complete without some mention of popular references and in pop culture, aka femboys. As you can see here, I have ample artifacts of a certain character named Astolfo.
Criminal evidence.
Grand Order. I gotta make sure not to draw this too quickly as to avoid rousing suspicion. Astolfo, Rider of Black. I really like Astolfo as a character, but I would hate to boil down Astolfo to simply being the gateway drug of femboys. I do think that, you know, you need to acknowledge that Astolfo is sort of that. Is the marijuana of femboys, the gateway femboy. Let's throw up some examples. Hidari from Blend S. I recently started playing this game. Venti from Genshin Impact. Cloud from Final Fantasy VII.
Damn, that Cloud scene, that unironically made me want to play Final Fantasy VII because I was just like, damn, these game devs are legit horny for Cloud. Like, they actually want to fuck him.
Sasha from Animal Crossing.
Hell nah, you lost me with that shit!
Talk about the fact that femboys come in all different shapes and sizes. We talked about, like, do I need to be...
I was not expecting to find out today that Professor Lando is attracted to an Animal Crossing character.
Shaven every day? Do I have to be, you know, this traditional femboy
Who's gatekeeping now?
all the time? I want to say no. I think that's the right answer. You know, we are all connoisseurs of femboys. I imagine sort of like a fancy masquerade, right? Like some European, we're all wearing suits and ties and we have swirly mustaches. Classical music is playing, you know? Yes, indubitably. I've come here to the... welcome, everyone, to the monthly gathering of us
He just has this on the side, ready to grab.
My name is Sir Maxwell Worthington II, and president of our here chapter of the Femboy Connoisseurship, and I do like to enjoy my femboys to be a certain way, and you know.
I do think men who enjoy femboys are more intelligent on average. I don't know. It's just a vibe I get.
Well, I have my preference, and you know how it is. For me, personally, enjoy my femboys to be a little more masculine. So this is going to be controversial. You know, some characters in anime, their build and voice are basically just a girl, aka Hidari from Blend S, which is fine. You know, to be a femboy, there's a spectrum. But to me, these characters are just femboy in...
Are you grooming your chat to enjoy femboy? Okay, in order to groom something, you have to be really subtle, and it's more like laying the groundwork and like planting seeds of certain things. I'm just telling my chat to want to fuck femboys to be smarter. That's not really grooming. That's just asking. That's telling.
Name. For all extensive purposes in their media, they're simply another female character. Why even make them a femboy? It almost seems like pandering at that point or something. Where's the boy? And again, there's some men out there that are very feminine, very feminine presenting, and that's fine. But I'm just saying that in terms of being a femboy, don't be...
The word female is so disgusting, men can't even stomach saying it. They have to stop themselves.
So worried about being uber feminine. Cloud is a perfect example of my ideal femboy. Maybe because I relate to the character more physically, mentally. I think that's part of it. Maybe sort of projecting myself onto the character. Cloud is very, you could even say built, very, very masculine. Compared to characters like Hidari and Venti. Link very much fits into this category. You know, not like...
What's your ideal femboy, Lucy? I guess the Link and Cloud area. I like when you can tell that, like, they're guys, but they're dressed like that. I don't know. That's more my preference, but I don't mind the Astolfo and Hidari characters either.
Masculine as like huge honking macho, like huge characters. You know, to see characters like Cloud wearing the dress, cross-dressing, getting dick down in the bathroom of the Honeybee Inn in Final Fantasy, there's something more relatable to me there. I would like to cap this lecture by simply saying that I believe the taint is the male version of cleavage. Where the mound, you know, you talk about purple mountain majesty, you know, this sort of mound, the great American dream, rather, where the taint meets the top of the balls, that is like a golden zone. And much like where the thighs meet the thigh high,
Who asked? Sir, what the fuck does this have to do with femboys anymore?
I think that is sort of like the male version of cleavage. And now that I'm thinking about it, I might just be gay.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, you know, whether femboys are gay or not is kind of like up to interpretation, but not in Lando's case. Absolutely coming at it from a homosexual perspective, and you know, more power to him for it. More power to him for it. Now, a complete fucking tonal shift, if you don't mind. Is Elden Ring a good first Souls game? I have no clue what's gonna be in this video, so let's fucking find out.
Elden Ring is just the Dark Souls of open world games. Take a quick look at my channel and you'll see that certain games and topics usually appeal to me more than others. Sure, I like to experiment with all sorts of genres, but what do we got here? Anime Nintendo, indie Nintendo, anime Nintendo, indie. Yeah, so what I'm getting at is that the games I talk about don't—
Adversary, thank you for the 33 months. I appreciate it.
On Femboys.
I feel like I'm more educated. I won't say how, but I just feel like I am.
usually look like—
I could do like a 3-hour video, you know? They were using my hat!
There is no original—
Shadi, they were using my hat. That's me. That's my hat. That must literally be me because nobody else would use that hat. They must have stole my videos. That's crazy.
There is no original way to introduce the bastion of a series that is Dark Souls, or its reputation as the de facto descriptor for hard video game. So instead of regurgitating a Wikipedia page, I'll tell a personal story. I'm just choosing from my high school notebook of ways to start an essay. So I bought the game on PC, right? Figured everything will be fine for this 10 out of 10 universally acclaimed triple—
I don't know if they fixed it a lot. I feel like it was less bad when we played the DLC. That could just be I've updated my computer since I last played Elden Ring. But I remember playing it at first and having like a bunch of frame drops and a bunch of lag.
Release, but I didn't know about FromSoft's history of questionable PC ports. Release day arrives, I install my copy on Steam, and I'm greeted by janky graphics, constant frame rate drops, and time manipulation that ranges from the game slowing down every time an enemy sneezes to a several-second freeze followed by a sonic boost moment. So after a couple hours of attempting various fixes, I headed over to GameStop for the early midnight release to pick up a PS5 copy instead. As I was checking—
PC really helps. This is why consoles still exist. But it's funny that they're making consoles more and more expensive because they're driving out the whole reason people use consoles in the first place, which is that they can't afford a fucking $3,000 graphics card in order to play the newest games. They're outpricing the customer base that they have.
The cashier asked me, do you want to buy a warranty in case you scratch the disc or don't like it or want to return it for any reason, yada yada. And on conversation autopilot, I replied, no thanks, I'm good. Problem was, their next words weren't, all right, you're good to go, but instead, are you sure? It is a Souls game. So I just stood there for what was—
Whoa, you got the woman treatment? Dude, they said you're a fucking femboy, dude. Damn, that's crazy. No, that's what you get when you buy things as a woman.
Probably a millisecond, but felt like one of those anime flashbacks where it goes black and white and time slows down, and my brain went, wow, people have really tried returning Dark Souls to GameStop because it's too hard. Anyway, I eventually resurfaced, declined the warranty and the pro membership renewal. My mom bought it for me when I was like 12, okay? Headed back home, played the game, wrote the script, and this is getting too meta, so let's start the review. To get my chaotic set of opinions squared away immediately, I loved Breath of the Wild. I really don't like any other open world games. Medieval fantasy is generally one of my least favorite settings, and I've never played a Dark Souls title. So while I rarely cross paths with games like Elden Ring on my channel, fuck you, it's awesome. Sorry, that was mean. I want to approach this review from the perspective of a newcomer, as I know some people are looking at how much others are enjoying Elden Ring, but are unsure whether or not the comments of it being the most accessible Souls game ring true, given that almost everyone reviewing it has already played FromSoft's previous titles. Oh, and while I'll be making comparisons to the open world genre to look at the ways in which Elden Ring breaks the mold, I'm gonna do my best not to compare it to Breath of the Wild. Yeah,
good luck with that,
pretty crazy,
bitch.
I know. It's kind of like they're not that similar.
They really are.
Since I want to look at this game through the lens of baby's first FromSoft title, I figured it'd be best to start off with how Elden Ring approaches difficulty. What does the Dark Souls of insert genre here even mean? When it comes to most of the games I play, I usually have a preference toward linear design. I enjoy fighting bosses at the intended difficulty and overcoming challenges carefully crafted by the developers. However, the ability to say, fuck it, I'm coming back later, makes Elden Ring incredibly accessible to new audiences while also setting it apart from the scaling systems many RPGs implement to varying degrees of
I like how many fucking arrows he has sticking out of him. This is the best feature of Elden Ring, by the way. Just like if you're a bowmaxer, you get to do this.
Success. In a linear game like Dark Souls, every boss is a wall that you must conquer to push forward. But in Elden Ring, that's almost never the case, even when it comes to story bosses. Don't feel like fighting Margit or Godric yet? There's literally a secret route that just lets you walk around the castle and go to the next area instead. This non-linearity delivers an amazing sense of freedom, as getting to traverse the world and explore ruins, caves, and castles at your own pace gives way to a lovely mix of difficulty, with the potential downside that challenge is inconsistent. Depending on your level.
I feel like that's a pretty big downside though, because, you know, I would like fight one boss and then chat would tell me that I missed one and then I go back to fight it and it's literally a nothing boss compared to what we just fought because I didn't fight it when the devs intended for me to fight it. And it's like, so then if there are intended times for me to fight intended bosses, couldn't there be a way to like guide me in that direction a bit more? Like not get rid of the option to do things more freeform, but a better, easier way of like showing the best next place to go?
Well, you might trivialize certain bosses, and other times you might discover a whole new area of the map only to find that your attacks barely scrape a basic enemy. However, I think this is a more than acceptable trade-off that actually works well in some areas, as it allows experienced players to defy the odds while letting new players level up at their own pace. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a bit disappointed discovering some areas that just felt too tough at first, but there's so much to do that those few moments were negligible when considering the overall experience, and sometimes being under-equipped for a fight made victory all the more rewarding. Honestly, whether I was bashing my head against a wall for an hour because I really wanted to kill that big snake, or completely obliterating a guy by summoning a giant fire-breathing dragon head, a win's a win, each in their own satisfying ways. Plus, FromSoft makes sure you're never missing out with the sheer amount of secrets they managed to pack into every corner of what feels like an endlessly expanding map. Let's just say some of the bosses aren't satisfied after round 1.
I feel like if you're a very thorough type of person, Elden Ring is going to be a much better experience for you than if you're the type of person who's just like clueless and lost in the sauce 24/7.
Finally, I beat the tree sentinel.
Oh, he's back? I could beat this guy again, no problem.
There's like 50 of them.
When it comes to the specifics of combat, Souls games definitely have a steeper than average learning curve, but after playing Elden Ring, it wasn't nearly as bad as I was expecting. Maybe it is the most accessible Souls game. I guess I don't really have anything to compare it to, huh? On a fundamental level, the game just demands more attention and precision than you might be used to, as death is often unavoidable while you learn how each boss moves and functions. Pressing a button also means dedicating yourself to that choice, as opposed to most action combat games built on instant dodges and cancelable everythings. Because of all this, the first 5 to 10 hours were pretty tough, no question about it. I was so in my own head about the reputation
like realizing that the actions queue up and that you're not going to be able to cancel it was a real pain moment for me in Elden Ring.
Of Dark Souls that I thought one wrong stat point could fuck me over. I'm glad to say this obviously isn't the case, but it did take me a while to build up the confidence to just gun it headfirst into any challenge I stumbled upon. At first, I struggled to conquer even a single boss and felt a little dejected until I began to grasp the dance, a term commonly used to describe the combat in Dark Souls. Yet at the same time, it was incredibly refreshing to learn such a unique form of gameplay. Defeating even the most basic of enemies felt like a genuine accomplishment, and being rewarded with
me when I killed that one giant guy with like, he looks like he has toe fungus and a disease at the beginning area, and I thought like I did a really good job, only to find out it was a regular enemy and not a boss, and like there's basically no point in me killing it, and that killing it should have been a lot easier than it actually was, and I was in for a world of hurt and pain.
After beating my first boss, okay, I like this game. Combat also manages to stay interesting thanks to the diversity and creativity of weapons, items, skills, equipment, abilities, summons, spells, what have you. While I know some people like to waltz their way up to every boss with nothing.
Every build gives you a different experience of the game, which is a good thing, and at the same time, I've heard that it's a bad thing because some builds are just so much worse than others. Like, the difference between them is very, very, very high. Kagome, just so you know, they wanted us to know that they followed me. Thanks.
but a big
Wait, Kagome
club,
from
doing the
Inuyasha?
same
Wow,
thing in
that's
every
base.
fight would probably put me to sleep. So being able to do sick jumps and dives and teleports and summon a giant dragon arm while my constantly reviving skeleton boys draw the boss's attention is incredibly amusing. And the thing is, you aren't given these tools to easily break the game, nor are they required. It dishes them out
But you can
intentionally
if you
because
want
depending
to.
on your skill level or current location, you might need whatever you can get your grubby little hands on. Elden Ring is one of the smartest games I've ever
Didn't
played,
say
as
welcome. Is Faith bad? Is Faith bad in Elden Ring?
bosses actively dodge both physical attacks and spells, so it wouldn't be too long after feeling like I was cheating that the
It's
game would
busted.
cheat back and spit directly in my face. Even after you die, the bosses just keep jumping and swinging, like, dude, I'm already dead. Are you gonna Fortnite dance on me or what? Anyway, being
I'm gonna
able to
learn the
feel my
Fortnite dance.
character's growth, not just numerically, was also fantastic. I stumbled upon a cave in my first few hours of playing and got the absolute shit kicked out of me by these little fucker gargoyles. My sword was banging against the wall, they were jumping on me, shooting me with little darts. It was not a good time. When I finally made it to the boss,
You can actually experience psychosis playing Elden Ring if, like, you've just played a bunch of the game and then you walk into a new area and you get a bunch of projectiles thrown at you all at once. You can genuinely, like, sometimes after a stream of Elden Ring, I would feel like I needed to go on antipsychotics.
he absolutely steamrolled me. And after learning I'd have to deal with the gargoyles again to get back to him,
You know what's crazy
I
when
left.
the streamer
But
starts
then,
laughing?
10 or 20 hours later, understanding the concept of the dodge roll and all of combat a bit better, sweeping through those stone bastards and winning an intense duel with the boss felt great. I think scaling health bars or a world level system would take away from the sense of triumph and progress after winning each fight. Honestly, my only real disappointment is that I was only able to experience a fraction of the
those
combat
things. I hate
styles
this
on
enemy too.
display.
This sucks.
While there are ways to switch things up, going through the process of respecking stats and upgrading new weapons just to try out a new build isn't always an exciting prospect.
Yeah, that
and
one
the
sucks.
game is a little too big for me to easily say, yeah, I'll just try out something different next playthrough. Bro, I have over
I feel like I had chat helping me, so they were able to, like, help me find, like, the best weapon for my build, which was Rivers of Blood at the time, because I chose to play as a samurai. And I feel like if I didn't have chat helping me there, I don't think I would have ever finished Elden Ring. I would have been like, damn, why am I dealing 10 damage every time I hit the enemy?
For 80 hours in the game, I'm still not done, and there's a new Kirby game. How much free time do you people have? Enough about combat, though. What I really want to talk
The
about
cum
is the design
monsters,
choices
the
that make
cum
Elden Ring
shooters.
both the subject of widespread praise and heated debate among gamers and developers alike. The magic of exploration. Didn't I
Make
put
these,
that
I
as
hate
a
them too.
section title in my Breath of the Wild video? Wait! I can use big fun words like mysterious and cryptic and
Incredible
obtuse
editing.
and ambiguous and veiled and find more at thesaurus.com to describe Elden Ring's tone and overarching design philosophies. But what I'm getting at is that it just doesn't tell
I'm just upset I never actually got to fuck Ronnie.
you where to go or what to do
I do
every
the synth
5
route
seconds.
and I get nothing
Thank
for it.
God. When you start up the game, you get a cutscene about the loathsome dung eater and some optional dialogue about being maidenless. But despite having a massive open world, the game doesn't have a quest log. At all. There's an overarching story and some side stories, but no real
You got to kiss their hand? Which one?
intended order to fight bosses or explore the map. You want to remember what someone asked you to do? Better write it down yourself. There's also no mini-map or automatic waypoints. Find something important? Better mark it yourself if you want to remember where it was. You
I
think
think
an
this is
NPC is
good.
actually
This is
going to
fine.
tell you where to go for their own quest?
NPCs have got to be the most useless fucking thing in these games. And I mean that for, like, every single game that they have ever released. They're useless. I can't understand. They speak in, like, hieroglyphics. They're impossible to learn lore from. You have to wait for the geniuses with, like, 500 IQs to dissect it all on YouTube to understand their stories.
These features can sound menial on paper. Like if a game can track everything for you, who would want to do it themselves? Me. I want to do that. Keeping a journal has been a strange yet incredibly rewarding way to experience Elden Ring's storytelling, as jotting down important findings while keeping track of characters and quest
need a
lines gives
notebook
them
for
much
this
more
game if
meaning
you're not
than
using the
bullets on a
internet.
list to be finished. Due to the nature of hidden quest lines, displaying them as traditional side quests could potentially damage the way players approach these tasks. Quest logs often imply a sense of intended completion, despite the fact that
Hydration?
some requests have alternate solutions, or that they have moral and story implications. I didn't want to do some of them, so I didn't. And I don't mean like didn't want to do a quest as in fetching grass, I mean like evil shit. And I wouldn't do anything
I think, didn't we do the evil thing? Didn't we become evil, or did we kill the evil people? I can't remember what we did in our run, but I liked that area because it had the snake boss.
Remotely evil. Ever.
I can't be mean to NPCs, it hurts my heart.
I'm gonna jump on her.
Oh,
Stop it,
oh shit.
please.
My
flesh is akin to stone.
I didn't mean it. Iron Pineapple told me to do it.
There's a feeling of immersion.
The way he said that. Stop it, please. My flesh is akin to stone.
Sorry, that's a gamer
That's so
term.
mean.
Of being on a real adventure that permeates through every design choice in Elden Ring. The bosses feel like real enemies. The entire world feels hostile and dangerous. The map's topography allows you to navigate without waypoints, and the visuals themselves are given the chance to shine thanks to the simplicity of the game's UI. The only element shown during exploration is a compass, allowing you to fully take in the world around you. And man, is it a cool-ass world to take in. Sure, it might not have the latest 4K supersonic ray-traced, no computer on Earth can run it, but it manages to make every
It's still pretty demanding anyway.
area stunning and memorable. From the grand structures of the capital to the decaying ruins of churches and the lush yellow forests of the Altus Plateau to the
Oh fuck, I'm leaving. I'm out of here.
of the Caelid Wildlands, Elden Ring manages to avoid feeling repetitive and ensures it's more than
I can't imagine actually critiquing the Elden Ring graphics on the front that people are saying that they're bad. What kind of fucking realistic graphic brain rot do you have to have? You people are genuinely killing gaming. Shut the fuck up and develop an actual sense of aesthetics. If the only thing that you can think of is, oh, I only like the game if it's super realistic. Oh, look, I can see a polygon. Oh, guys, look, the texture isn't completely fucking 4K. It's not perfect. Oh my god, ha, lol. The game devs are cooked, haha, they're washed. Get fucking grow up. Holy shit, you are the reason that games are releasing in their fucking 400 gigs. You're the reason that we need 10 fucking hard drives to play a goddamn game.
just a medieval fantasy world. I've never watched or read Game of Thrones, but something tells me George R.R. Martin didn't come up with the giant turtle wearing a pope hat. If any of my friends looked at my screen while I was playing, or vice versa, someone was always able to say, oh yeah, I know exactly where you are, even if it was just a fucking cave. We all knew
LOL.
which cave it was. My appreciation of the game's
I would not know what they're... Damn, your friend's got good memory.
atmosphere is also demonstrated through the importance of audio. I find that in so many games, not just open worlds, you can't hear the sounds of the world around you or even your own thoughts over the droning of constant dialogue. Sometimes this dialogue exists for comic relief or delivers an interaction that builds a relationship and contributes to the story, but other times, I'm sorry Horizon, it's just too easy to point fingers at you. Elden Ring is a far cry from most open world RPGs though, as you aren't given constant reminders, hints, or solutions for any
Wait, guys, is that bell supposed to be his ding-a-ling? Get it? It's his ding-a-ling because it dings because it's a... Oh my god, it's actually his ding-a-ling.
If you get lost, you have to sit there and figure it out yourself, study your map, or try talking to various NPCs again for directions.
That NPC's
Even during
hideous.
longer stretches of traveling on horseback, which is
Grey
when
Matter,
most
welcome.
games would bring up a phone call or internal conversation, I'm playing as my own character, and man is he literally silent. That means I get to do the metaphorical talking myself. You know, make my own choices in the story, take my
Fucking hate
time
that
gazing
boss.
at a nice view, or actually solve a puzzle without the
I
help
never
of a
see him again, it'll
screaming
be too
toddler.
soon.
What I'm getting at is that Elden Ring isn't Genshin Impact. Wow, that is a comparison that should have never been written. Where every step is rewarded with a shiny gem, nor is it your average open world RPG, where every point of
Except the joke is, actually, it is like Genshin Impact because it's similar in the sense that the reward you get for the effort that you went through is so small in comparison.
interest is revealed and tracked, and every event has to give the player some fundamentally usable reward or completion percentage to trick them into thinking the menial fetch quest was valuable. The reward is the accomplishment of finding or beating something. You might get a rad weapon at the end of the catacomb, but the excitement of actually discovering the cave, solving the puzzle, and overcoming the boss is what gives it meaning as a reward. I know the concept of intrinsic motivation in video games isn't for everyone, and isn't always an effective choice, depending on the context, but for myself,
games aren't
and what
for
seems like
everyone.
plenty of other people,
It is
it's
what
a
it
breath of
is.
fresh air after feeling bogged down by overly complex and repetitive systems, with mechanics that feel like they're rushing you through an intended experience, or refuse to let you find out anything on your own, or want you to fucking buy your gold from a microtransaction shop. Fellas, why do we let
Is this Ubisoft?
Ubisoft do that? Like, that just screams objectively bad with a capital objectively. However, I do want to mention that the silence of Elden Ring does extend to almost every aspect of the game. And I definitely struggled a bit early on while trying to understand things the game chose not to explain. It took me 50 hours to realize this little gravestone means spirit summoning is available, and I still have no idea what 80% of the debuff icons mean. This sense of obstruction can definitely be a negative for some players, as there are a plethora of useful mechanics you might not know about unless you watch the Iron Pineapple video. But this is FromSoft we're talking about. I say that as if I've actually played Dark Souls, but I can tell that all of it, or at least most of it, is intentional. Even finding a way to change up your combat style is another secret the game wants players to find on their own. I'm not trying to go down the route of the game isn't for everyone to defend a design choice or imply that any improvement would go against some holy order holding the game together. I've definitely seen my fair share of shit on Twitter, people brewing up a storm on both sides, and it makes me tired. But while this type of game design might not be for everyone, that's okay. I don't even know if I can conceptualize a video game that everyone would like. Sonic!
A game everyone likes is a game
There
no
are
one
obviously
likes.
smaller details that could have been improved upon if the devs had unlimited time and resources, but I do not possess the patience or the sanity to make a 3-hour video essay called Elden Ring Retrospective, so I'll just continue gushing instead. Not having my hand held through every fight or constantly pointed in the right direction led to something I wouldn't always mention in a review, but feels significant here.
Okay, while we're talking
in the right
about
direction
graphics,
led to something
the
I would...
graphic of this lobster is amazing. I think lobsters are disgusting, nasty creatures. Every so often I get like a video on YouTube Shorts of this one guy who works on a boat, and he grabs lobsters and he'll like mark them so that they can basically control the lobster population and make sure that they're like not taking out lobsters that are too young or whatever. I'm not sure entirely what they do, but anyway, they're marine biologists of some sort marking the lobsters for observation purposes. And so they drag out the lobsters and then they turn them upside down, and you can see all of their nasty little disgusting, nauseating, sickening fucking eggs hiding right underneath this thing here, just tucked up underneath there. It's gross, it's horrible. Lobsters are sick, and I fucking hate them, and I will never eat a lobster ever. Worst creature on the
always
planet.
mention in a review, but feels significant here. The moments I shared with my friends. The sheer amount of secrets behind every hidden wall and in every piece of item text and in every back corner of a desolate castle leads to a sense of community and collaboration that feels absent from a lot of games. The developers hid a bunch of crazy shit from everyone, but they only want dedicated players to find it. I'm not saying every game needs to hide an entire sub-area in a coffin behind a waterfall, but for this type of open world, really feeling like you've had an experience different from everyone else, or knowing that you found something really cool that someone else didn't, but that you still haven't even scratched the surface, it all just feels
it's very
so
unique to each
cool.
person who
Hearing the
plays
yells
it.
of friends getting ambushed in a cave, or the hearty screams of clearing a tough boss, hell, even just...
But yeah, you know, for every person where that's a benefit, that's also a bad thing, you know? That means that you'll have people who enjoyed it because they went about things a certain way, and then people who did not enjoy it because they went about things a certain way. To no fault of their own, they kind of just went wherever the game took them.
Sharing how we all found our cool weapons.
That's
It made
what
me
you
feel
risk
like
when
we
you
were
don't
all
really
on an
have any
adventure
type of
together,
guidance.
despite the fact that I was completely alone in the dark in my room on my PS5. Although I did have a couple moments of despair while sitting in Discord
There's a certain amount of padding that I don't think benefits the game. Probably the amount of reused bosses.
listening to my friends fight bosses together.
Yeah, I love you guys.
Can I summon you, man? I need to fight Marco the Flatulent.
Can I get in on that? So much fun.
Oh yeah, dude. Let's fucking do it.
It would be silly if someone couldn't play with us, but it's fun.
Wife, thank you for the $1.
They were playing
That would
together.
suck. That would suck a lot. Hey Yako, password is shit. I would
Password is PS5 sucks.
Did you say the password is PS5 sucks? No, I'm not mad about the PC port or the fact that I spent
Based on that humor, everyone in that voice call would enter my PS5 giveaway.
$50, which I then couldn't refund because I bought it from a reseller. That's on me. Then $60 on the PS5 copy and another $10 on a month of PlayStation Plus just to be able to open a goddamn note that says dog every time I walk up to a turtle.
Oh, wait, real? Dude, you have to pay for that on PlayStation?
You know what? Never mind. I am mad. Now, this wouldn't be a video of mine if I didn't end with some weird tangent in an attempt to make my video game is good stand out from the million other video game is goods that have been posted already. I don't have any crazy emotional parallels or profound things to say about the storytelling and characters, but the game
is fun.
And it gives me the
It's
itch?
fun.
I don't know, that sounds weird. I'm still workshopping it. It just means I want to keep playing all the time. Procrastinate work. Literally spend my whole Sunday just sitting there. Fucking 12-hour play session. I play a lot of video games, but I don't finish all of them. I can acknowledge they're cool,
Typical
but every game
gamer.
has a differing level of the itch that brings me back after the first session. In terms of things I've been playing recently, Disco Elysium is super engaging, but the intensity of the writing limits my little baby brain from ingesting communism for
Oh, yeah, but sometimes this is me when I'm playing games on stream.
more than a couple hours a day. Pokemon Legends Arceus was kinda neat, but after the first couple play sessions, there was no strong sense of anything calling me back for more. For some games, it can be engaging gameplay. For others, a story with twists and turns galore. And for the ones that are too lazy to do either of those, just add battle passes, daily logins, and Skinner
just
boxes.
make Genshin Impact.
It's proven to work. For Elden Ring, it's everything. Except the manipulative ones. Exploring caves, riding around on a horse, and fighting bosses for 100 hours might sound repetitive, but the game manages to throw so many new ideas at you that just when you feel like you've seen it all, the game says, the fuck you have? And that sense of wonder brought about by the mixture of intense combat and an intricately crafted open world is just amazing. I often express my distaste for games that take up way too much time, but Elden Ring does it in the best way possible. The absurd amount of effort it takes to explore all of the lands between is what makes the journey so exciting and rewarding. By the time I neared the end, looking back on my map filled with gray sites and markers flooded me with memories of all the things I'd experienced
Yeah, looking at the map when you've completed it is really nice.
or still hadn't fully unveiled.
Really shows
Fighting
you how
boss
far
after
you went
boss
on
might
the
have taken up
journey.
most of my mental faculties in the moment, but every time I sat down at a site of grace or rode to a new location on horseback, I was given time to reflect on how I subconsciously learned the landmarks and shortcuts of every region, or watched bosses turn into basic enemies as I grew stronger over time. How
No, that should piss me off.
I experienced a chaotic mix of dastardly lies and kindred discovery by reading player messages, or spent way too much time climbing big rocks for absolutely no reason, all culminating in my brain saying, wow, look how far I've come. I mean, I've just been
Wow,
hitting
look how
buttons,
much
but I'm
time
starting to
I
feel
wasted.
maidenless for real. Wait, even as a newcomer, my time with Elden Ring has been fantastic, but my recommendation comes
I'm
with a
always
warning.
conscious
It's
of my
tough, and it really
maidenlessness.
doesn't tell you much of anything. I literally walked past the tutorial area until my friend noticed and quickly told me to go back. It's definitely not as rage-inducing as a GameStop employee may have you believe, but it takes
I think it bears saying, though, that this guy's review is also partially based on the fact that he clearly had friends he was talking to the entire time that he was playing this and were helping guide him. He just said they fucking sent him back to the tutorial area.
patience alongside an entirely new approach to exploration that I can tell not everyone's gonna be a fan of. However, if you are willing to die, learn, die, explore, and die some more, then Elden Ring is an incredibly rewarding experience on a scale unlike any other. The game is so accessible with its wide variety of combat options that even if you don't want to get near the bosses, you can just shoot a giant laser at them. Like, what the
Yeah, I've seen this fucking thing. You know, if I ever play Elden Ring again, I'm doing this build.
fuck?
The
That
fuck
is
everything
so
build.
cool. If you enjoyed this video, maybe consider, no, you know what, scratch that. I gotta be more confident. If you enjoyed this video, click that subscribe button over there. It's looking kinda nice, isn't it? And on the subject of blatant self-promotion,
Giga Nerf, they hate fun.
I also have a Patreon, and you can check that out in the description if you're interested in supporting my videos. But that's about it. I'm all out of jokes.
I think Elden Ring is a good game, and I think that it shows a lot of love from the game devs who made it with all the things that you can find and the variety of the enemies. I think there's a lot of love behind the game. I think it's great. I also think it's my least favorite Souls game. And it's really hard for me to say why. I think it's because when I play Elden Ring, I feel the least satisfied overcoming challenges. Yeah, that's about it. I don't know if it's because I feel like I'm too bad to beat the game by myself without spending like literal 3 hours each stream, 9 hours per boss. Or the bosses become too easy when you use the tools that the game gives you to like make it easier. Meanwhile, I feel like with Bloodborne and Sekiro, I was actually good at those games by the time that I was done. Now I'm probably shit again. I'm probably shit again because I haven't played them in a long time, but I felt actually good at the game by the end of Bloodborne and Sekiro, which is, I think, the feeling they want you to have when you finish these games. And at the end of Elden Ring, I'm just like, well, I managed it. I sure did it. But as far as it goes, I guess it is the most accessible to new players. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't really think that the video answered the question it asked in the title. Lucy pegged Orphan of Cos with a cane. Yes, I did. Wait, what is this again? Animation versus geometry. Okay, apparently this is actually cool. Hydration. It's a stick. He's lost. He's in a two-dimensional world. He can only go left and right. When you think about it, aren't we all just the stick man? County, don't steal my bit. 2 points make a line. 2 more points, and an arrow makes an arrow. I bet this video goes even harder for people who understand geometry. Oh my god! Oh my god, the lines are intersecting? They're intersecting? Oh my god, it's angles? We're getting angles? This is the first man discovering geometry. Oh my god, he discovered lightsabers! What the fuck? The golden ratio? Oh my god, you guys are so smart. He's gonna die. No! No! Okay, we're angling, we're right angling. He's at the right angle, he's at the right angle. Oh my god, he's fucked. No, he's fine. He's in an... This is... I know what type of triangle this is. I know what type it is, I'm just not gonna tell you. Oh my god! He keeps chasing the golden ratio. This is like symbolism for chasing the cloud, chasing the bag. It's a never-ending spiral. He's stuck in a maze. He's in a little running thing. He's a little hamster in a wheel. He just got ratioed. Imprisoned again. Damn, all the little sound effects are really impressive. What the fuck? Pythagoras? I know that guy. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. And area equals pi r squared. Did you know this? I know this. I'm super smart. Holy shit! Run! That ain't gonna do shit. Oh. Yeah. I don't know what he thought that was gonna do. Make this into a video game, I'd play the fuck out of this. Hot Cold Sausage, welcome. Minecraft animations? Man, this guy has a lot of talent. What the fuck, is somebody gonna hire him? the golden ratio. It's the golden ratio again. We're back to getting ratio. Damn. Wait, why are we friends now? You are my enemy. You are my op. The level of autism this video portrays is just fucking right. It's perfect. Must be digital candy for you, huh? I'm stunned into silence. He's built the ultimate barrier! Die! No! Unlimited triangle works have created many right angles. And yet, nothing but ratio builds these bones. It's so over, guys. I don't think they can do it. Guys, it's not possible. He dropped him! He's gonna ratio him! He's a fucking monster in a cage, trying to break free. He's stuck within dimensions. There are layers to how prison he is. Oh my god! Whoa, 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 whoa! Since when are we 3D? No, he's cheating dimensions. Is it over for bro? Oh my god, he's ulting. No! I feel like I've watched an anime. No, his friend. Fractals? Cowboy? Hi, Zenith. Welcome. Absolute cinema. Peak cinema. Pure cinema. That was really good. I did not understand 90% of the references in it. But regardless, it's entertaining just because it's so well animated. 10 months ago? God damn, bro. Jesus Christ. He's made a bunch of these. Oh my god. Animation versus math? I'm sorry, Chatty. Chatty, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. I feel like I lived and died. I feel like I'm gonna live and die again. One. equals 1. Are we sure? Yeah, he's thinking about it. He's like, equals 2? Yeah. Oh my god, equals 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can just keep going. Of course, he would have to stick his hand in the hole. Little freak. What are you gonna do with that? Oh my god, he's getting crazy. This is interest, by the way. Thank you for zooming out, I appreciate that. Why is he so sad? He got caught up in the numbers. He was just chasing big number and now he's sad because he knows big number won't fulfill him. He's like, now I have less number, but it's same number. Better. Why are we subtracting? We're into the negatives. Whoa, why is it running from him? What's the reference here? Damn it! Imaginary numbers? Oh, that's the symbol for an imaginary number? This is worse than falling off. This is something else entirely. Whoa, where'd you get those parentheses from, buddy? Does he live in a calculator world? Is that why? He lives in calculator world. He's stuck inside of the TI-84 you haven't used since high school. Yeah, what is he trying to do? Break the universe he's in. Oh yeah, it's divide by 0! Okay, I see now. Naruhodo. I imagine this is how geniuses visualize math. What the fuck? He's so confused, he's pissed, he's like, why is number not changing? Aleph Null, thank you for 4 months, I appreciate it. Oh shit. The plot of this one is him just desperately trying to catch that motherfucking imaginary number. It's his white whale. Destroyed. Blown the fuck out. Oh my god, it's a cross! It's a cross! It's a sword! Oh my god. A bow! This is so creative! It's over. You'll never catch him. Whoa, 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 whoa. What we do now? Okay, we got lines. Map? Yeah, okay, guys. I can figure that one out. I can get that far. Radiuses? Okay, we're doing some pi level shit. We got some circumferences, perhaps? What's that? This is people realizing how bad I am at math. You can't move it. Wait, actually you can. I'm sorry, I lied. We're well into university math by now, so that's fine. Real? I'm not supposed to know this? I only know those from the name. I know nothing about what they do. Pi. Wait, is that not the pi symbol? Am I crazy? Oh my god, it's a ribbon! This is how they make magical girls with the ribbons, by the way. This guy right here is the creator of all of them. He's fucking back! Get him! How is he gonna defeat this creature? Oh no, 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 it's evolved, it's evolved. What is that symbol? Oh my god, he got cylindered on. No! Dimension expansion! Domain expansion! Oh, he's fucked! He's cooked! Shut up! I just said a word! It happens all the time! Oh my god, it's like his ninja star, the multiplication symbol. Oh no. Oh my god, they're multiplying. Get it, they're multiplying! The buddy. Oh no. Oh no. Take them all. There's too many. He's got a big ass gun. Like a Big Daddy Bioshock level gun. Like a grenade launcher level gun. It's over. The world has been taken over. You're trapped in their domain. He needs backup! Last time he had a friend who helped him. This time he's all alone, bro. Oh shit, he upgraded his weapon. Oh my god, they're leveling up now! You let them get back to base! It's going into final boss form. It absorbs mathematical damage. You're gonna have to defeat it with some shit like, I don't know, reading or whatever. I don't know about this one. He's too powerful. Oh no. Wait. His laser! Oh my god, he's coming! Not even he can withstand it. This is just like in the anime when they blow up the planet with the laser. What the fuck is he doing? No. At the end of the world with you, imaginary number. The world is fragmenting! No. L. He took an L. Aw, he's apologizing. Invisible number, Chan. Can you help me fix the world? Goodbye, my old friend. Oh. It's getting fixed. It's going back together. What the fuck? Are we transforming him? Are we giving him like radioactive powers? He's sending him back. He's transporting him. They sent him here. Now they're gonna have the math orgy. What the fuck is that? There's a monster in the math world and I want to kill it. I would like a video game in the style of this guy's animations. Very cool, very cool. By the way, I made a team of VTubers in Tiny Football. I just added you in. If you add me to your VTuber team in football, I will lose and die. And you will absolutely not win. You will never succeed. You will never have victory, and it will suck. I'm very sorry. Also, sorry about that. I just got very distracted by this guy's animation. It scratches the right itch in my brain. However, we will be moving on to the next React video. No more derailing. Is the Switch 2 actually going to flop? Here's my answer. Monetarily, perhaps. In the eyes of Nintendo fans, no.
Is brought to you by Squarespace. For 8 years, Nintendo has been on the top with their well-priced Switch, great and consistent game releases, and a reputation that most game companies dream of. But ever since the Switch 2 direct...
Maybe with complete normies who never go on the internet, but if I have to think of the game company that has the worst reputation right now, it's fucking Nintendo.
Direct happened, things have taken a turn for the worst. A $450 Switch 2, Mario Kart World priced at $80, horrible communication across the board, confusing Switch 2 edition deals, overpriced accessories, $10 for
really
a game that
bad.
should be a pack-in. Did a new Nintendo take over? No. This is the usual. Nintendo's just recently sold us a $100 alarm clock, $70 for cardboard, and have dropped game vouchers and gold coins for seemingly no reason. This has been a weird time for someone like myself, and I'm not used to seeing so many people complain about game prices coming from Nintendo. And I can sympathize with the frustration. The economy is in rough shape right now, and I don't see a lot of people that I know even personally that'll be getting one. But now that some time has passed...
Do we hate EA anymore? People hate a lot of game companies because people are aware that the game companies are what gets in the way of the games being actually fucking good. The game company is always the conduit with which people who create games can do it as like full-time and have the time to make the games and make fucking money by making the games. It's always the company pulling some dumb bullshit that causes games to suck more, or the process of playing the game sucks more. Now, the best game company is one that does not draw attention to this fact. However, Nintendo, EA, are complete shit garbage at it and are always trying to shove it into your face that they are the middleman of the games that you want to play, and they want to fuck you over as much as possible and take as much money as they can from your wallet.
I wanted to sit down and really try to analyze if the Switch 2 is actually gonna flop, or if the internet's just been overreacting.
$80 games, bro.
Before going into this, I just want to say that I will only be talking about US game prices. I know that the Switch 2 and its games are different in other countries, but I'm not from those places, and I don't know the average income anywhere else besides here, so I won't be talking.
I didn't really know how bad it is as a price until I realized just how much, like, weight the American dollar has in other locations. It's really fucking expensive. It was already expensive for $60 games, but 80 USD is also just insane. And there's no real proof that the games are going to be better than what we're used to playing for the price tag to be going up like this. And another thing, people love to say that like inflation is higher and things cost more and like it costs more to develop games. Okay, but you have to also remember the fact that while the cost of shit gets higher, people's wages are not increasing enough for you to go and make a decision to make a game $80 or $90 fucking dollars.
The $80 price tag has been talked about to death at this point, but it really makes a bold statement. Nintendo is willing to sacrifice the quantity of game sales and squeeze more money out of each person that buys the game.
They never have a
you
sale.
know, Nintendo
ever.
was nervous and insecure about doing this because they didn't bring up the price in the Direct, whereas typically they would be confident and share everything with us. But at the same time, hasn't Nintendo and most AAA game studios already been charging over $60 to $70 a game? Let's just be real here. If you're watching or listening to this video, odds are you've already paid over $80 for at least a couple Switch 1 games and didn't think twice about it.
I only feel happy playing 70 games for a series that I really love, and even then, I don't think it's an excuse because when the prices are this high, they're preventing people from getting into the series.
Let's look at a game like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It costs $60, which is an insane value for how much is included, but it also offers a Fighter Pass for $25. Then there's a second Fighter's Pass for $30, and if you get all that DLC, our new total for the game is $115. But there's also the Mii costumes, which seem cheap at 75 cents each. However, there's 52 bundles, and if you were to get them all, it would cost $39. So really, for the full package, Smash Bros. Ultimate cost us $154. Or how about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, another game priced at $60, except wait, the Booster Course Pass costs $25, so that full title is actually $85, which is very close to how much Mario Kart World is. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This one also has an expansion pass for $20 that includes 2 different DLC packs, which raises the
I think the DLC is way too expensive for what it is.
total to $80. Splatoon 2 has the Octo expansion for $20, which makes that game's total price $80. Then Splatoon 3 offers the Inkopolis and Side Order DLC for $25, making this game game $85. Animal Crossing New Horizon also has a Happy Home Paradise expansion for $25, which makes that game $85. Pokemon Sword and Shield each have their own expansion pass for $30, which raises the price of both games from $60 to $90. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet has the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero DLC for $35. So for both games, it goes from $60 to $95. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker adds in a special episode pack for $6, making the full game.
Don't forget the price of Nintendo Online in order for you to use the features in this game that everybody wants to use.
$66. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has the expansion pass for $30, driving the total to $90. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 also has an expansion pass for $30, making it another $90 game. And I think you get my point by now. Now, obviously, not everyone is.
What the fuck is that body?
Another $90 game. And I think
her head is thicker than her waist.
you get my point by now. Now, obviously, not everyone is buying this stuff, but I think it's important to point out that we've already shown Nintendo that we are willing to dish out $80 to $90 per game. And of course, there's a difference between paying extra for DLC and paying $80 for just the base game, but that's not really the point. The matter of the fact is, we've shown Nintendo that we're willing to dish out $80 to $90 for just one game. And Nintendo is
That's the only thing I know about this game series. I just know I'm really feeling it.
Simply taking advantage. It just hasn't been as in our face until now. And look, I'm not justifying the $80 price tag. I'm just saying that a lot of us are already paying these high prices, but just in the form of multiple payments. Now, of course, some of these DLC packs are already included for free in Nintendo Switch Online's expansion, but it's not free. You are actively paying a subscription for
But I've noticed recently that people are getting more and more pissed off about the existence of DLC, as we should. I still think to this day that Final Fantasy 15 locking a big portion of story and something that would actually make you grow attached to the characters behind fucking paid DLC is insane and should not have been tolerated.
DLC that you won't own if you stop paying the subscription. So is it really a deal at the end of the day? You know, it's kind of funny because I remember when Nintendo first introduced DLC to their games in the 2010s and people were outraged, just like they are with $80 games. But now, people beg Nintendo for DLC. I can't tell you how many
people beg for new things to be added to the game because the game has problems that need to be fixed, and then they ask for DLC to fix it, and then Nintendo sells it to them for $20 fucking. Even if people ask for DLC, I don't think they say, hey Nintendo, can you make the DLC that you're giving me cost like 4 times its actual worth, please?
Many people, including myself, that want Nintendo to release DLC packs for games like Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Tears of the Kingdom, and Mario Odyssey. Like I said, we could not possibly be incentivizing them more to raise the prices. We've been trained to want DLC, and we might soon be trained to buy $80 games.
I don't mind paying for a DLC, but I think DLC should be cosmetic. Is that crazy? I think DLC should be fucking cosmetic. Or, if it's adding more to the story, it should be cheap. It should be a lot cheaper than anything else. I just really do not agree with the idea that a game should be incomplete unless you're paying, like, for DL-fucking-C. It's downloadable content. If it's important to the story, put it in the game.
And now that we've seen the Mario Kart World Direct, we have a pretty good idea of all the content that's included in the game. I'm personally super excited to play it, but it also doesn't do anything new and revolutionary in the racing sphere. So I can see a lot of people waiting to buy this one or just not getting it at all.
Done of the $10 pack.
This decision is just pure greed on
crazy.
Nintendo's part. The Switch 2 Welcome Tour game is not worth $10. It's not even worth $5. There's no reason they couldn't have packaged this in with the Switch. I got to play a little bit of this game at the Switch 2 event that I went to earlier this month, and yep, it's a tutorial all right. When the Switch 2 comes out, I'm going to check out the entire thing and see what it all has to offer, but it really should have just been free from the get-go. The funniest part about this game is that
this is so ballsy that if it works, expect to see like every company doing this shit. Like imagine having to pay $10 to actually activate the new laptop that you bought.
Reggie has tweeted out a snippet about packing in Wii Sports, essentially roasting Nintendo for not including Welcome Tour as a pack-in game. If you have the Reginator on your bad side, you f***ed up. Even the PS5 at its exuberant cost includes Astro's Playroom,
Come back,
an
Reggie,
actual
when the
proper
world
game
needs
that
you
takes
most.
a few hours to beat.
Oh god.
Out of everything that we've talked about price-wise, the accessories are an extra painful cost that I'm not seeing a lot of people go over. And they got even more expensive recently because of the unpredictable market that's currently happening. Or Nintendo's just taking advantage, it doesn't actually matter to them. I imagine a lot of these extra things aren't going to be purchased because of the upfront costs that already exist for the Switch in just a couple of games. For one, we've got the Switch 2 Pro controller at $85. It's only $15 more than the Switch 1 controller, so it's not the most egregious price increase. But then we've got the Joy-Con 2 controllers at $95. We're gonna have to hope the Joy-Con drift doesn't exist, because replacing these for
I swear to fucking God, if Joy-Con drift is still a thing, I'm going to assume it's a feature and not a bug, and it's an intended way to make you go back to fucking GameStop and spend more money on their stupid $80 Joy-Con replacement.
$95.
Oh, sorry, probably $100 now, if we do like the percentage of increase we're getting.
Is insane for just a controller. The craziest cost, however, is the Switch 2 dock at $120.
That's crazy.
Switch 1 docks were already ridiculous at $90, but now it's over $100. Why would anyone get a second or third one? It's just for the sake of convenience. I can't imagine these standalone docks are going to sell that well. I have a few Switch 1 docks in random places around my house, and I bought these things slowly because of how spendy they are. I don't see myself getting more than maybe...
You bought them? Nintendo's weakest soldier, honestly. Nintendo's weakest soldier, he just randomly buys, like, new Switch docks.
One extra dock. The cost is just absurd. Again, the point of the Switch 2 is to be more premium, and it definitely is, but these prices are probably not going to end up selling a lot of units. Honestly, I don't think this price is that unreasonable, especially considering how powerful
It's not. It's everything else coupled with that price that makes it unreasonable.
the Switch 2 truly is. I think what's really surprising about all this is that Nintendo is known as the value brand. People don't expect top-of-the-line graphics from Nintendo, and yet they decided to focus on that for the Switch 2. What I find so interesting about this approach is that this is literally exactly what everyone was asking for. Yeah, for the past 2 to 3 years, everyone was begging Nintendo, please don't make a gimmicky console, just make the Switch again, but more powerful. And by God, they did it. They actually listened and did it. But them doing that comes at a cost. And I think it's a cost that its fans weren't ready for. 4K output with HDR and 120 FPS on the tablet isn't cheap to produce. But real quick,
The software they used when they released the original Switch was already outdated. I guarantee what they have in the new one is probably still outdated. The idea that the materials that they use for this one should not have also, like, gotten cheaper because it's fucking outdated is a bit of a stretch to me.
let's talk about today's sponsor, Squarespace. This is the best and most...
Guys, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. Only I'm allowed to shill. Code Lucy, 10% off gamer subs. Ugh.
It's kind of amazing how much Nintendo has tripped over their messaging just trying to talk about Switch 2 Edition games. You would think it'd be simple, but Nintendo made it really confusing and shared tiny pieces of information as the following weeks have gone by. The best way to boil it down is the cost for each upgrade is split into 3 tiers. A Switch 2 Edition game is either free, $10, or $20. The free games will get upgrades on performance and might add extra features like Game Share. These include ARMS, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Super Mario Odyssey.
I swear to fucking God, if you try to charge me for game share and you're like, it's a feature, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Super Mario 3D World, Clubhouse Games, Link's Awakening, Echoes of Wisdom, Game Builder Garage, New Soup U Deluxe, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and Big Brain Academy. I'm glad that a nice chunk of first-party games are getting these updates to begin with, especially Scarlet and Violet since that one runs so badly. And I imagine more are on the way too, as I'd like to see Age of Calamity and the Xenoblade titles get these performance updates as a couple examples. But then we get to the $10 upgrades, or the ones that come included with the Switch Online expansion pack. What's been confirmed is Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. The graphics are improved, and you also get to use this new Zelda Notes app, which has a large variety of features.
No! Shut up! No. There's no way Nintendo is actually trying to push that as like, guys, we have to charge you $10 for the upgrade because it's so much better because now you can get the graphics you were getting on your emulator. And also, we gave you a notepad in the game. Okay.
While this is neat and is also free of charge, I don't really know if this warrants the extra $10. As for the app, do people really want to go back and forth between using their phone as a GPS and playing the game? That just doesn't sound that fun if you ask me.
Exactly.
They also added the option to share items and auto build, which is cool, but why wasn't this just built into the game itself? What's insane though, is that the Switch 2 edition of Breath of the Wild doesn't come with a DLC, which means that if you don't own the game and want the DLC, you would be paying $90 for the entire game. Now, I'm sure most people outraged by this already have the DLC, but even still, this is just mean. We all know deep down that Nintendo is just a corporation like the others, and they don't actually care about us. But can you not throw us at least this bone? Like, really? Pretty much every video game that's ever had DLC that gets a re-release includes the DLC. It's crazy they aren't doing that with a game that's this old. This is setting a really bad example for everyone else.
Nintendo and being extremely greedy regardless of how old their product is. Name a more iconic and frequent duo.
By the way. Oh, I can't wait for other AAA studios to start doing this to rip off their customers more. Just wait until the Smash Bros. Ultimate...
That's the problem. That's the problem. If this is successful, it's a matter of time for the other game companies to pick it up. Because I promise you, none of them have morals. They just didn't realize they could fuck over the customer base that hard and still make their dime. They didn't know. And if Nintendo proves that they can, expect it. It's gonna happen.
Switch 2 edition comes out, and that doesn't have the DLC. That's gonna be one heck of a show. And we don't even know how much Pokemon Legends EA and Metroid Prime 4 will cost, but they'll likely be $10 as well. Metroid Prime 4 adds mouse support and different display options, which I guess I can understand the reasoning to pay extra for that. Pokemon, on the other hand, doesn't make much sense to me. On their site, it says we get improved performance with higher frame rate and resolution.
We're charging you extra for every single fucking game that you play because the graphics are better.
Okay, why isn't this a free upgrade with the other games? Oh, wait, because it's Pokemon and it will sell well no matter what. Got it, that's just wonderful. But then we have the $20 upgrades, and honestly, I think these are priced fine. We've got Super Mario Party Jamboree and Kirby in the Forgotten Land with brand new content on top of improved visuals. Jamboree adds in a bunch of new mini-games and uses the Switch 2 camera, and also adds a couple extra modes with the mouse controls.
I feel like you can take the cost of the original game and then the amount of time it takes you to finish that game, and then if the DLC that you're adding does not equal $20, the percent of that time you spent playing it, I think it's unreasonable to charge $20 for it.
A microphone.
Like, if the game is fucking 50 hours long and you add DLC that adds 2 hours, I think it's too expensive to charge $20 for
too crazy, but it's a lot of extra effort for what it's worth. Then Kirby in the Forgotten Land has a new story mode. So out of all these games, I think these two games warrant the extra price tag out of them all.
The C button. The what?
I won't have much to say about this, but the C button is one of the most underwhelming features that the Switch 2
What the hell does
has.
that do?
It is literally just voice chat with super laggy game share and facecam capabilities. I still can't get over how this looks exactly like Discord when you're screen sharing with someone else. I mean, they even copied the green border when someone is talking. This would be a fine enough addition to the console, but it's gonna cost money. That's right, starting in March of 2026, you will only be able to use the voice chat if you pay for the Switch Online membership. While I'm sure a lot of people already pay for it and won't think twice,
Thank you, Nintendo. I love paying for Discord. You can already pay for Discord, it's called Nitro.
that means the C button is a paid button. This is stupid as shit. Forcing people to pay for voice chat has completely killed your opportunity for people using it for most of the Switch 2's life. People will just continue to use Discord to communicate because it's free. This is such a huge misstep that it's just baffling.
Like a lot of missteps.
Amiibo originally released at $12.99, which was a sweet price for how small these
the
figures
Amiibo
were.
price?
A few years later, they got a price
even know
increase to
this.
$15.99 outside of a few exceptions, and it stayed that way for a while, at least until now, because Nintendo's newest lineup of Amiibo are $29.99 with the Street.
You are shitting on my dick. You can't be fucking serious. I don't even think they were worth the $16. They're mass-produced they're small, and a lot of them have like little mistakes on them. And it bears repeating that they are tiny. They're small. You can get a decent sized figure for $35 and it'll be big, large. Honestly, I don't even know if it was worth the 15 for some of them. Some were a lot worse than others as well. But $30?
Better ones being $39.99. I'm a guy that owns every single physical amiibo, and I'm not buying these. I mean, my god, talk about a ripoff for figures that aren't even that high in quality. You might as well get a larger figurine for about the same cost. I can't believe I'm going to actually talk about the economy, but this will be the one and only time that I will do so. Look, if you're an adult right now, you already know how hard it is to just get by these days.
Wallet.
A large majority of people that want to buy the Switch.
How horny am I if this wallet is making me think of something else right now? I'm sorry, you caught me at a weird time in my
know
life,
how hard
chat.
it is to just get by these days. A large majority of people that want to buy the Switch 2 won't simply because of the cost.
Like
For decades, Nintendo has been the value brand of video games. People like to buy Nintendo games because they're good deals. As far back as the Nintendo 64, Nintendo has been offering ways to purchase their games for a cheaper price. While the Super Nintendo introduced the Player's Choice moniker, the Nintendo 64 started to lower the cost of their games when labeled as such. N64 games cost around $60 at the time, but the Player's Choice version was $40. The GameCube had the same thing, with the original games being $29.99 and Player's Choice $19.99. The Game Boy Advance also did this. The original games were sold around $30 to $40, while the Player's Choice versions were $20.
I didn't know about the Player's Choice version of games.
Nintendo Selects during the Wii era, with certain Wii games going from $49.99 to $19.99. The 3DS also got the Nintendo Select treatment, with games going from $39.99 to $19.99. For 3 decades, Nintendo has been doing this with their games. But you know what we haven't seen from the Nintendo Switch yet? Nintendo Selects. And guess what? It's not happening this time.
No shit!
And here's why. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold 67 million copies, Animal Crossing 47 million, Smash Bros. Ultimate 35 million, Breath of the Wild 32 million, Super Mario Odyssey 29 million, Pokemon Sword and Shield 26 million. I could go on for ages. Nintendo has never been this successful with software sales. Why would they lower the price? That's just wasting money to them. If people are still buying the games in droves, might as well keep the value of the games up, right? Well, things are a bit different from the Switch 1 era to now. First off, the concept of the Switch was and still is genius. That alone sold millions of people. But the games and consoles were also more affordable. The economy was not as unstable as it is right now. And I don't want to hear people say that the Switch 2's cost now matches with inflation and it's fair. Sure, the cost of the console matches, but you know what isn't matching? The average American salary. The median household income as of 2025 ranges a lot, but the majority of people are making around $75,000 to $80,000 a year. That equates to around 60.
I think this is too high. I think this is too high. I don't know. Maybe it's just because of the way that I grew up. This is a high amount of money to make in my eyes. At least where I grew up, this would be a comfortable salary to make. This feels high. Yeah, this feels like it's an overestimation.
$200 to $7,300 per month. Sounds like enough money to buy a Switch 2, right? Well, we do have to pay to live somewhere, so let's talk about that briefly. If you want to buy a house, the average price is currently around
Yeah, closer to 50K. I would definitely say, like, I don't know, you pick a random American adult off the street, maybe 50K, maybe 50K. I feel like you have to go to specific neighborhoods for people to be like, oh, well, I make 6 figures, you know, on a bad year. 6 figures.
$360,000 with a 6% interest rate. So let's say you bought a house on a 30-year loan for $300,000 at 6% and your down payment was 10%. That would make your mortgage payment, including property tax, insurance, and HOA fees, to be around $2,100 a month. Let's go back to that average salary. And yeah, that mortgage payment alone chews up a massive chunk of money. And that's before paying for food and all the other bills we've got. But what about renting? Well, that's currently around $1,600 to $1,700 a month. So while it is cheaper,
and somehow that feels low. Isn't it funny? It really depends on where you live. But yeah, I would say if you average the whole country, yep, 1,600, 1,700, that's for like a 1-bedroom, by the way, just so we're clear.
It's still spendy and you don't build equity. Now,
Hi,
obviously,
Trisha.
everyone has different income levels, and every state is going to have different prices in terms of how much things cost. The point, however, is that living in America currently isn't cheap in a lot of places, and people will skip
Renting here is 4 to 5K. Do you live in fucking Beverly Hills?
out on entertainment. I'm not going to talk about the tariffs, as that's currently a huge toss-up and nobody knows how that's going down, but that could raise the prices even more on a lot of different goods. I mean, it just happened with the Switch 2 accessories. With all this happening over the past few years, Nintendo has completely failed at reading the room, which is a big problem because America is one of their biggest markets. So, can
They spit
Nintendo
into the
fix
mic and
this?
called us Americans.
It's really hard to tell right now, but unfortunately, I don't see the Switch 2 being that big of a success. They completely flopped their first impression, and messing that up has set Nintendo on an uphill battle. They're gonna
The question becomes basically, do I have to buy the Switch 2 to play new games? And it feels like a lot of game devs are still making shit for the Switch 1.
have to change something. Sure, the Switch 2 will probably sell out in its first year because of people like me, but what about after that?
People like
Is the
you.
random person 2 years from now really gonna walk into Walmart and spend $450 on a Switch 2 and then $80 on Mario Kart when so many people are already
I mean, I also you have to keep in perspective that monetarily the 3DS flopped, but I think in terms of like the device itself, I don't actually think it was a flop. I got a lot of fun out of the 3DS, but monetarily the 3DS was a failure.
living paycheck to paycheck? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo eventually brings back Nintendo Selects because at this price point, I don't see these games selling that well. I can kind of understand the reasoning to keep your price up to hold the value of the IP, but a big reason people bought these games to begin with is because they were $60. They were of value. That's Nintendo's reputation. And here they are, just slowly throwing it away. Look, I'm still really excited for the Switch 2, don't get me wrong. The games
I feel like Nintendo really threw their reputation away when they went after Yuzu and then they followed it up with Pal World.
look incredible, and I'm going to be playing them regardless of the cost. But that's just me, and probably the people watching a video like this. It'll be very interesting to see how Nintendo is going to do in the Switch 2 generation, because they're taking a big risk by alienating a lot of their customer base. I should end things by saying, hey, if you're okay with the prices, then more power
And it still looks old gen! And it still
their
looks
customer base.
old gen!
I should end things.
Am I gonna complain about graphics like these? No. But this is what they think that they deserve to charge you like fucking $20 extra on every game sale for. This is what they think is worth that.
By saying, hey, if you're okay with the prices, then more power to you. Whether you're buying a Switch 2 or not, there's no right or wrong opinion here. Everyone has different preferences when it comes to their buying wants and power.
Honey,
and with that,
welcome.
thank you all
Frog
for watching.
tits,
And
that's the best part of this video. You know what? I'm not gonna make any predictions, but I do not think that the Nintendo Switch 2 will be as successful as the Switch 1. I don't. I do not think so. I think it is a very real thing that a lot of markets are suffering because people just don't have enough money anymore. They don't. Like, if you've looked at gacha income, I get really interested in this shit, by the way. I'm always checking out, like, the gacha sensory tower income. It is way down. For every game, it is way fucking down. People are spending less money on shit that they don't need, probably because they can't afford to spend more money on shit that they don't need. So I do expect the Nintendo Switch 2 will do worse than the Nintendo Switch 1. Now, mark my fucking words. You can clip me and post me on Twitter and make fun of me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I will be. See, that's how confident I am. That's how confident I am. I'm not wrong. Anyway, when the nerdy girl takes off her glasses. Hold on, I need to RP max this.
Laney Diggs.
Trixton Baxter.
You got those notes for me?
Yeah.
That was really cool what you did in class today. How'd you do that?
Raising my hand and answering the question correct?
Yeah, the way you put your hand
Whoa,
up
that's so
when you
unique.
knew the answer. It was awesome.
Suppose you have plenty of time to study when you're not invited to the cheerleader, football leaders, Friday,
Wait,
Saturday
she's
night high
literally
school
me.
party.
Hey, do you mind?
My mind is the
Hi,
best thing
Gryffindor,
about
thank you
me,
for the
so-
10 months. I appreciate it. What? What is that?
We'll see what you're hiding under there, Four Eyes.
Okay. Slow-mo. Let me time it.
Oh,
was so wrong.
Put the glasses back on.
I don't know where they are.
Put the glasses back
I
on.
can't see where they are.
Put them back on.
Put the glasses back on.
Holy shit. Those glasses really suit you.
Thank you.
Those make you look really good. Oh.
Hey. You got a little
Yeah,
something
don't.
right. Okay.
Some girls really do just, well, not just girls, but guys too. Some people really do look better with glasses. It just frames their face better, you know? Fuck you. Who submitted this shit? The horror game that hates horror games. Naruhodo ne. What the fuck is this gonna be?
Fear is a vast emotion. Even though
Really?
being scared is a universal sensation, what causes fear varies from person to person. What scares me might not scare you. Appropriately,
You know what doesn't scare me that scares other people? Dolls. I am not really afraid of dolls.
horror is a vast genre.
Or clowns. I'm like clown neutral. I'm a clown neutralist.
It's the only genre I'm aware of that has such sharp differences between its subgenres. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre and funny games are scary for completely different reasons, but they both succeed at inciting fear. Regardless of its subgenre, horror relies on tropes.
Did you just ask me if I've seen Mexican balls? County, I think you meant to say Mexican dolls, but no, I've never seen Mexican balls.
There's the place no one goes,
Bows.
otherworldly creatures, possessions, murders, danger, friends not being what they seem, the list goes on. Part of the fun of having such a long list of genre touchstones is that they can be subverted or played upon, set the audience up for one thing and then twist it to something else, or play it for laughs. The possibilities are endless. After all, nothing in a horror story can actually hurt you.
Or can it?
Alan Wake is a horror game, but its relationship to the horror genre is a strange one. Some
Do you ever feel like after you've watched a horror movie, you're suddenly hyper aware of all the sounds around you, and everything just feels like something's about to fucking jump out at you? I know after I watch a horror movie that was scary to me, I start hearing like the sounds that my cat makes and assuming that it's somebody breaking into my house.
tropes it adopts full on
Hey, it's
and wears like a
addiction.
badge of
Thank you for the 8
honor,
months. I
and others
appreciate it.
it takes a somewhat counterintuitive approach. I love Alan Wake. It's been a personal favorite of mine ever since it came out, and I think a good part of that admiration
Wake.
comes from its
Is this
marriage
good
of
for
the
stream?
familiar and the unfamiliar. Even with a full-fledged sequel, there's still not much like the original Alan Wake. How it's a horror game that seems to not want to be a horror game.
It's very cool.
Alan Wake makes no effort to hide its influences. The very first lines of dialogue are,
Stephen King once wrote that nightmares exist outside of logic.
the town of
Just
Bright Falls
immediately
feels like
drawing
a
out
legally
Stephen
distinct
King.
Twin Peaks. There's an in-universe TV show that's a play on The Twilight Zone. The game is constantly reminding the player of the works of King, of David Lynch, and of Rod Serling, all masters of psychological horror.
I would
For
miss
the
a lot of
uninitiated,
references
Alan Wake
then.
stars Alan Wake, a once prolific author of crime thrillers who has hit a creative slump. He travels with his wife Alice to Bright Falls for some rest and relaxation, only
his
for
wife hot?
horrible
Show
things to
face.
happen. He wakes up in a car wreck, disoriented, missing a week, his wife nowhere to be found, all while finding pages.
Marco, what the fuck is happening right now that would make you think that my dick is uncomfortably erect? This is the right time for you to redeem that. No, you need to be audited. You're getting audited. You're getting the audit. You only have one message history. That was for Colonial White Lamau? Fair enough.
Of a horror story he wrote that is coming true before his eyes. The game deals in themes of fate, the painful act of creation, and how art can affect the world around us. The game is less concerned with making the player feel overtly fearful. Instead, it tries to get under the audience's skin, much like the psychological horror masters it so generously
You mean like
references.
all horror
But Alan
games?
Wake isn't a horror game simply because of its story and setting. Gameplay-wise, it does its best to make the player feel uncomfortable, and it achieves this feeling through
Like
Alan's
all horror
unique fighting
games?
style. In one hand, Alan carries a weapon that fires bullets. He has the usual arsenal of pistols, shotguns, and rifles, nothing crazy there. Except these weapons don't really do anything at first. The enemies in Alan Wake are covered in darkness, this fog that consumes them and, importantly, makes them impervious to attacks. The bullets will just get absorbed into
Calamity
the dark corruption.
darkness. It's so mute.
To make
Thank
them
you for the sub
vulnerable, the
welcome.
player will have to use the weapon in Alan's other hand, the one that fires light.
Right,
Shining
right,
the
right,
flashlight
right.
at an oncoming attacker will burn off the dark fog. It'll take a few seconds, and the foe will slow down for a bit, but
I like
eventually
the little
darkness
things they
will
drew
dissipate,
here,
leaving the
unless
enemy
this is from
open
the
to
game and I'm
Alan's arsenal.
stupid.
So the entire time the enemies are covered in dark.
So what are WR doing right now?
You should be banned for interrupting my video like that. You are fucking misusing and abusing bits with the TTS. You're an abuser, and we're all going to publicly shame you. Shame! Shame!
Oncoming attacker will burn off the dark fog. It'll take a few seconds, and the foe will slow down for a bit, but eventually, the darkness will dissipate, leaving the enemy open to Alan's arsenal. So the entire time the enemies are covered in darkness, Alan is defenseless. The player has no choice but to shine their light.
I'm banning it. Okay, guys, thanks for the stream. I really enjoyed streaming for you all. Rev Danny, thank you for the 38 months. No, dude, you're being a hypocrite. You're being a hypocrite. You can't send me a resub that says shame.
The enemies are covered in darkness. Alan is defenseless. The player has no choice but to shine their light at the dude with the chainsaw and watch him inch closer.
That looks kind of silly.
Did you want to lay low and snipe the enemies from across the room? Well, too bad. You have to let them get close, but not too close.
Damn, I would die a lot
The
in this
idea of
game.
an unkillable enemy is nothing new in horror games. Part of what makes Pyramid Head from Silent Hill or the Tyrant from Resident Evil so memorable is how they're
Pyramid Head.
impossible to defeat for the majority of the game. All the player can do is survive the horrors. Alan Wake takes this idea, shrinks it down, then multiplies it. Every enemy in the game is invincible at some point. Alan can't fight. He can only survive. But
Doesn't that mean that it got overused? I think that has to be rarely used.
not for long.
That or you have to commit and make a horror game where you cannot fight back against the enemies at all.
This is the main hook of Alan Wake's combat design. Each of these enemies will have to be taken out using this two-step method, and this leads to some great consequences. For starters, this puts an emphasis on spatial awareness. The combat arenas in Bright Falls are compact, with few places to hide and none to duck for cover. The player has to judge the distance between
Man, that
them
light
and their
effect's
attacker.
kinda
Will you
blinding.
be able to slow them down enough so they won't get within striking distance? Should you run away and get some more space between you? Or are you confident that you'll be okay? The player has to let the crazed, axe-wielding brutes get closer and closer. The feeling of watching a guy lumber towards you, with the light shining away the darkness, and just when it's almost too late, this is the moment
I feel like the light is getting in the way of the horror here a little bit.
the entire experience hinges on. So that's it. The gameplay of Alan Wake can be boiled down to a single moment, the feeling of having a close call. But of course, developer Remedy has to keep the game fresh for a multi-hour campaign, so they present that feeling in new and engaging ways. Alan will frequently find himself surrounded by dudes, so the player will have to make a lot of snap decisions.
Dude, this is just like the yaoi visual novels I read in my free time. Some dude finds himself surrounded by other dudes.
If two guys are charging him at once, the player has to decide which enemy gets the brunt of the light. I tend to find myself splitting my attention between them, bouncing from one foe to another in an attempt to buy myself some more space. But what if they're coming from opposite directions? Then the player will have to divide their attention in an even more extreme fashion. What if he's surrounded by 3 guys, 4, 5? Another wrinkle is that some enemies have more darkness than others, meaning they'll need even more time and space to become vulnerable. Yet another factor the player has to keep track of on their mental map of the playfield. The flashlight
Oh,
itself
I get
has its
lost
own
as
limitations.
fuck. I get lost
Pressing the
as fuck.
controller's left trigger will focus the beam, which in turn will drain its battery. Releasing
I like how it just looks like they're going schizo out when you have the light
the
shining
trigger
on
will
them.
allow the battery to recharge slowly. Essentially, the flashlight is on a timer. In addition to having to guesstimate the time it will take for an enemy to reach Alan, the player will also have to hope and pray that their light has enough juice to last. If the battery runs out, the
complicated.
player will be unable to use it for a few seconds. To prevent this from happening, the light's life can be extended for a bit by using disposable batteries, which will give it a quick burst of power, buying the player some more time. These are a finite resource, so the player can't just use them haphazardly. Other enemies include poltergeists, which possess objects and vehicles. They too have to be defeated with
so
the flashlight.
fucking funny.
Swarms of birds have to be taken down with
You're
the light
minding
as
your
well.
own business
When
and
the
suddenly
enemies
a
are too
tractor
close and
comes
too
from
many, Alan
behind.
can light a flare, buying him a few moments of respite. The flare gun and flashbangs can burn the light off enemies in a single go. They're great for large groups, but
Folded
Alan
Hellfire,
can only
thank you for
carry a
the sub,
handful of these at a
welcome.
time. The basic combat in Alan Wake is all about managing time and space. Alan Wake uses its unique shooter mechanics to make the audience feel
I have no spatial awareness. This game's my kryptonite.
uncomfortable, to put them in these situations where safe spaces are scarce and close calls are frequent. But that's where the scares stop. Alan Wake is a horror game, but it doesn't really act like a horror game. Outside of its story inspiration and its combat, it flies in the face of many other horror conventions. Many horror games find scares in their settings: Resident Evil, Sweet Home, Luigi's Mansion. Exploring each room of a haunted house or town or wherever
that
is
a
part of the
horror
fun. Not knowing what lies behind the door is scary. There could be anything back there. Bright Falls is a nice, creepy setting, but there's no way to explore it. Not really. The game will place Alan in an enclosed environment
Were
with
you guys
one exit.
scared
There may be
playing it?
little offshoots with secrets, but there's still only one path ahead. The story goes that Bright Falls was originally designed to be more open-ended and explorable, but Remedy found that it took away from the story's pacing, so it was reworked to be a more linear experience. And for what Alan Wake is, I think that was absolutely the right move. The story needs to hit certain beats at certain times, which kind of reflects its theme. The game's narrative is all about a horror story coming true. It deals in themes of fate, flirts with the concept of destiny and one's ability to alter it. As such, there are relatively few surprises. Alan will find a manuscript page that says what will happen before it happens. There aren't any subversions or jump scares in this regard. And speaking of jump scares, the game actually goes out of its way to not include them. If an enemy sneaks up on Alan
I don't think I would be scared playing Luigi's Mansion, but maybe as a kid I would have been.
in the forest, the action will slow down. The camera will spin around to show exactly where they
But it feels like a very silly game to bring up in this context.
are, and a music cue will draw even more attention to it. It alerts the player, allows them to mentally prepare for the fight, and then lets them continue. They didn't have to do this. I guess the game might have been more frustrating if they didn't, but I don't know, it might have been scarier. And for a horror game, the enemy designs are pretty straightforward. There's something to be said about normal people turning into something they're not, but there's also something to be said about nemesis, nurses, scissorman, or literally
Oh yeah, there's something to be said about them nurses. There's a lot to be said about it. I'm just not allowed to say it here.
anything from Splatterhouse. Alan's health will also regenerate over time. If he can make it through an encounter, he'll be absolutely fine. This removes the need for any healing items or things of that nature. In fact, resource management isn't really a thing in Alan Wake. It's a critical component of the survival horror genre, but the game kind of ignores it. The disposable batteries,
I'm so confused.
bullets,
What
flares,
is the
and the like
genre
are finite,
of this game?
but only as finite as the game desires. Alan is constantly losing his stuff, so he more or less starts each sequence with the exact resources the developers want him to. If they don't want the player to use the all-powerful flashbangs, they'll get confiscated at the start of a sequence, and not hand them out until they want to. This might seem limiting, but it allows the game to give the player the exact amount of power it wants to. Of the base game's 6 episodes, I think the 4th is the best example of this. Alan starts the episode as a patient at the rehabilitation lodge, so he doesn't have any of his usual gear. When the darkness descends, he's given a weak light and a simple gun without many bullets to make it through. As he escapes the facility, he's underpowered. It sure would be nice to have a flare gun or a flashbang from before, but the game wants the player to feel small in this situation. Before he's able to fully escape, Alan will find himself trapped in this courtyard. His manager Barry will be on the other side trying to
Not a
unlock the gate.
maze!
Until then, he just has to survive. The player will be surrounded by too many enemies for him to
I genuinely think the Resident Evil 4 maze section in the castle took me like a whole stream.
take down with his current resources. It's a tense scene and one that only works if the player is underpowered. After this, the duo gets separated and Alan once again loses his equipment. He has to run through the shadow-infested woods, unable to fight the enemies head-on. But as this chapter progresses, Alan slowly but surely regains his arsenal, becoming borderline unstoppable in the process. Alan and Barry make their way to the homestead of the Anderson brothers,
I don't think
aging
I can
rock
play
stars
this
and
game.
local legends. They arrive at the stage on their property. Music blasts,
It
pyrotechnics
sounds
go off,
interesting
and the
though, but
enemies
I
start
also
coming.
feel like I'm
The
learning
stage is
nothing about
stocked
the
with
plot
weapons,
from this.
bullets, batteries, and flares. The enemies keep coming and the player keeps fighting, fully able to blast their way through the action set piece. He'll be able to mow down everything in his way. It's a euphoric scene, and one that only works if the player is overpowered. So to keep the intended emotional responses to these scenes intact, the game carefully controls how many resources the player has at any one time. But a side effect of this decision is that it encourages the player to just use the dang flare gun. Go ahead, you might lose it in a minute. There's no sense in not shooting it since it can't be saved for later. The self-imposed limitations from something like a classic Resident
A fat dude, thank you for the sub. I appreciate it. Welcome. I know it's a point of like horror games, but whenever there's a portion of a game where I lose my equipment, it's always my least favorite. It only frustrates me. And even in Silent Hill 2, I think that was my least favorite part of the game, is when I had to navigate that area after losing all of my equipment. I know what the games are trying to do. I know the point is that it's like horrifying, like, oh, I'm powerless in this situation. There's nothing I can do. I don't like the segment in Silent Hill 2, and I don't like that segment where you have to play as Ashley.
Evil don't exist in Alan Wake. So with that in mind, is Alan Wake even a horror game at all? Sure, it has a horror-like setting. It's about a horror story coming true. It has gameplay that leads to tense moments, but it does hardly anything else to plant its flag in the horror genre. Or is Alan Wake secretly the most fundamental distillation of what a horror game can be?
Super redneck.
Since Alan Wake pulls quite a bit from the works of Stephen King, it seems only right to look at his hierarchy of terror, which stems from Danse Macabre, his analysis on the horror genre. According to King, there are 3 tiers to this hierarchy. The lowest is revulsion, aka gross out or gag reflex. This typically refers to shock value violence or gore. This is a reaction, a knee-jerk response to, revolting stuff. The middle tier is horror, which, according to King, invites a physical reaction by showing us something which is physically wrong. It's the response to something grotesque and unnatural.
That's the definition
whereas
of horror?
revulsion refers to the reaction to something that can exist. Horror refers to the reaction of something that can't exist, yet does.
Really?
And the top
I did
tier
not
is
know
terror,
this
which
distinction,
refers to
actually.
the anticipation of something scary, not a reaction. King references two stories, The Hook and The Monkey's Paw, where, quote, we actually see nothing outright nasty in either story. It's what the mind sees that makes these stories quintessential tales of terror. It is the unpleasant speculation called to mind when the knocking on the door begins and the grief-stricken old woman rushes to answer it. Nothing is there but the wind when she finally throws the door open. But what, the mind wonders, might have been there.
A telemarketer.
He goes on to say that while terror is the most powerful fear-driving emotion, all three are necessary and have a place in the genre. And yeah, while looking at some of the most iconic scary games, that holds true. Silent Hill 2 has its fair share of revolting moments. It makes the player react to horrible creatures at every turn. And it also makes the player wonder what lies just beyond the fog, or at the bottom of a staircase. Silent Hill 2 pulls from
That
each tier, which
staircase
is
is
part
one
of
of
the
the
reason
best
its legacy
moments,
is so
bro.
enduring. I could say the same thing about Resident Evil 7, or Amnesia: The Dark Descent, or Five Nights at Freddy's for that matter. But I can't say that about Alan Wake. Alan
I
Wake
can't
doesn't
tell if
have
this
any
guy
gross out
likes
moments.
this game or
Characters die,
hates
but
it.
not in exceedingly brutal or torturous ways. It's pretty tame in that regard. But at the same time, Alan Wake refuses to engage in much of the terror tier either, at least on a gameplay level. While the story has some suspense, the mechanics don't have any. Remember, the game will alert you to a new enemy's presence. It will lead you down a single path ahead. It will give you exactly what you need to progress.
Damn, I guess that really shows you the difference between people, because somebody telling me that there's no suspense in a horror game is kind of crazy.
There's little speculation of what comes next, no anticipation of what lies behind the door.
These sound like critiques, these sound like bad things.
Instead, Alan Wake plants its feet firmly in the horror tier. The game puts something scary in the player's path, an invincible man with a weapon in hand and murder on the mind. And then it makes the player wait.
He's like, there's no anticipation about what comes next. And then he's like, I loved the game.
It makes them shine a flashlight at the enemy while they inch closer. Even though their designs aren't grotesque, the way they behave and react to Alan's attacks is unnatural. And the player just has to stand there and watch them get closer and closer. They have to
He's explaining how it's subversive. Well, I feel like the idea of being subversive sometimes is a bit overrated. And I don't even think wondering what's going to happen next is something that should be solo to horror games. It should be every game. You should always... I mean, I think it's okay to have an idea of where you're going next, but there should always be a wonder of surprise, right?
decide which enemy poses the greatest threat. In this regard, Alan Wake is the most true-to-form horror game maybe ever. It is only concerned with invoking one response. For as much as I love the original Alan Wake, I'm glad it's not too lengthy of an experience. The 6 episodes, along with the 2 bonus DLC chapters, give enough variety to the experience without any real pattern.
The horror game that hates horror games is the title. Indeed, that is the title. I'm so conflicted.
2 years after it launched, a sort of sequel/spin-off title hit the Xbox Live Arcade.
A spin-off?
Alan Wake's American Nightmare. It finds Alan lost in Arizona, caught
What a
in a time
title.
loop. While it
I'll play
has
that
some
one,
lore
I'm
notes,
American.
mainly it gives antagonist Mr. Scratch some screen time, it functions as a standalone title. The biggest change American Nightmare makes is ensuring the player is empowered the entire time. The disposable
What?
batteries are plentiful. The guns don't have unlimited ammo, but they might as well. By making Alan more powerful, the enemies appear less powerful by proxy. And since they appear less powerful, they're less unnatural. And since they're less unnatural, American Nightmare feels even less like a horror game than the original. But the true sequel, appropriately titled Alan Wake 2, takes the core concept and expands it in every conceivable direction.
Whoa,
This
whoa,
time
whoa,
the game
whoa.
pulls from all
Huh?
3 of
What
Stephen
is
King's
this
tiers of
footage?
terror. The game is gross, it's tense, it's uncanny, it's filled with horrible, terrible things residing in the darkness. The game is also a masterpiece if you haven't played it. But it makes a fundamental change to the original game's signature mechanic. The flashlight is completely different. In the original game, after using the flashlight, it slowly starts to recharge. The player can use the light pretty much indefinitely as long as they're patient and pace out their use of it. But in Alan Wake 2, the flashlight doesn't recharge. After focusing the beam, that's it. The light can be focused only a few more times before it needs new batteries that are much more finite than they were in the first trip to Bright Falls.
Damn,
It's
they
a simple
doubled
change,
down,
but it has
tripled
far-reaching
down.
implications. Instead of making the player focus on the geography of the combat area, the player instead has to focus on lining up their flashlight and managing their resources properly. But if you miss, that's one battery charge you won't have in the future. In Alan Wake 1, the flashlight can only be used a little bit at a time, but no matter what, eventually it'll come back. The focus then is the specific encounter right in front of you, the horror of Alan's situation. But in Alan Wake 2, those charges are precious. So while yes, it's important to take care of the enemies in the room, there might be tougher enemies in the next. Instead of the immediate horror, it places its focus on the terror that might.
Why do they have so many shitty-ass flashlights that just aren't charged? Like, dude, yeah, what kind of flashlight runs out of charge in 10 seconds? How are you losing charge on your fucking flashlight every
Be
minute?
around the corner. Alan Wake 2 is a horror game that acts like a horror game. It pulls from all 3 tiers of terror. We're living in an era where horror games are
Sounds
more
like they
popular than ever.
improved
From
upon
legacy
it.
franchises still going strong, to long-dormant series returning, to new and exciting IPs, to adventurous indie gems, games will continue to scare people in new and exciting ways. But I keep coming back to the original Alan Wake, the horror game that isn't a horror game, while at the same time being only a horror game. It all comes back to one moment, the moment where you're not quite sure if it's all going to be okay. Alan Wake, the franchise, understands that fear can come in many forms. It understands that both the known and the unknown can make the audience uncomfortable. It understands that true terror lurks in the spaces between the observable and the ethereal. But Alan Wake, the game, understands only one thing, that close calls are the scariest thing of all. Knowing that something horrible is happening and that it will affect you, it just makes your stomach drop.
Supernatural stuff, I
But
think.
then again, Alan Wake is just a game. It's
Shake weight
just a horror
flashlight.
story.
Well, they're not
and nothing in a
shaking
horror
it.
story can actually
Don't know
hurt
if it's a weight though. It could be.
you, right?
Sometimes when I learn about games from videos on YouTube, I walk away feeling like they would have succeeded better as a movie and that they didn't really want to be a game because the gameplay mechanics just feel weird champ to me. But that might just be because this type of gameplay style doesn't appeal to me as much. I don't know. I feel like I might enjoy watching a playthrough, but not so much playing it myself. Anyway, somebody fucking submitted this and said, guys, I found Lucy's alt-Reddit account real. First of all, they posted this in the subreddit Not Like Other Girls, which is where women make fun of other women for not being woman enough. So, let me just read this and see what you thought was so much like me. Am I a pick-me? Yesterday, I was at my brother's apartment to hang out with him, his roommate, and his roommate's girlfriend. We wanted to order pizza, but the delivery fee was too high, so my brother went out to get his pizza by himself. His roommate is 6'4", and his girlfriend is 5'8", who wears a lot of makeup and has fake nails, watches rom-com movies, and doesn't know anything about video games. She seemed really boring. She's like the reason why I don't hang out with a lot of girls. I'd rather spend all day playing Valorant and making memes. First of all, I don't play Valorant. Second of all, I don't make memes. I am the meme, so go fuck yourself. I decided to introduce her to one of her boyfriend's video games, Call of Duty. I'm sure you've heard of it. And she was so confused and didn't know how to hold a controller, so I told her to wait so I can make me coffee. Pure black coffee. I can't fathom how somebody can like a latte. Completely incorrect, I would never drink black coffee. I like myself a latte. Because I'll be here for a long time. Her boyfriend was sitting on one of the kitchen's bar stools while on his phone. I was trying to reach for the coffee beans in the upper cabinets, and I couldn't because I'm a tiny 4'11" girl. Are you implying I'm a pick-me for being born below 5 feet? I'm a pick-me because I'm short? The height of consent. Well, now you have the height of pick-me. Because I'm fucking 4'11", I'm a pick-me. Let's just continue. I'm a tiny 4'11" girl in a house full of giants. I was wearing a men's large hoodie that looked like a dress on me with very short dolphin shorts that didn't cover my ass cheeks. I was so frustrated that I couldn't reach the cabinet, so I moaned and slapped my head on my hand, and the roommate started chuckling. He called me a cutie tiny potato with a big ass and offered to get the coffee beans for me. Pouted because I was so embarrassed, and he smiled. This is still going. And he smiled. Where are we? And he smiled and handed me the coffee bean bag and said that I was not like the other girls, and that he wished his girlfriend was a tiny natural with a big ass like me. I chuckled because guys are so funny, but the girlfriend overheard me and got really upset. She looked at me all teary and then confronted her boyfriend for making a move on me and, quote, hurting her feelings. She went back to the living room and I followed her and told her that he didn't mean it, and that's just the way guys joke. She started crying and eventually left after a few minutes, and I don't know how to feel about this. So what I'm understanding is that in order to be a pick-me, you have to have contact with men. Rest assured, I only have contact with chatty. Fucking roasted. Ah! Fucking roasted! Nothing but feminons in my chat! Nothing but fucking women being haters! Sending fucking pick-me posts to my Reddit just to fuck with me and make me read that shit online every last one a hater. Every last one trying to fuck with me. Okay? Well, you know what? You fucking know what? It doesn't matter. I have never been one-on-one with a man who is not my brother alone in a room with them. It's never happened. And it's probably never gonna happen. Anyway, so this video is called Trusty Cowboy Tips. It's I guess it's gonna show some cowboy tips.
Things a cowboy should not do. Here are some words to live by according to cowboys. Some are really good advice, and all are funny cowboy sayings. Don't squat with your spurs on.
That's wise.
Don't let your yearnings get ahead of your earnings.
That one right there is fucking fire. If you need me to explain that to you, I'm happy to cowboy explain this.
Don't dig for water under the outhouse. Don't go in if you don't know the way out.
Hell yeah.
Don't mess with something that ain't bothering you.
So fucking true.
Never drive black cattle in the dark.
For those of you who don't live in the South and so you have cars, what this means is use your headlights and taillights.
Never approach a bull from the front, a horse from the rear, or a fool from any direction.
Fucking fun.
Never miss a good chance to shut up.
I always miss a good chance to shut up.
Never ask how stupid someone is, 'cause they'll turn around and show you. The truth about the world is that anything is possible. Had you not seen it all from birth and thereby bled of it its strangeness, it would appear to you for what it is. A hat trick in a medicine show, a fevered dream, a trance made populate with chimeras having neither analog nor precedent, an itinerant carnival, a migratory tent show whose ultimate destination after many a pitch in many a mudded field is unspeakable and calamitous beyond reckoning. If you find yourself...
So yeah, what this one is saying right here is that if you believe it, you can do it. You're welcome.
In a hole, the first thing to do is stop digging. It's better to keep your mouth shut and look stupid than open it and prove it.
What is happening to his
If
voice?
it doesn't seem to be worth the effort, it probably isn't. Just cause trouble comes visiting doesn't mean you have to offer it a place to sit down. Letting the cat out of the bag is a whole lot easier than putting it back. Nature gave us all something to fall back on, and sooner or later we all land flat on it. The quickest way to double your money is to fold it over and put it back in your pocket.
Cowboy hypno.
You have to do if you wake up at 3 a.m. and there's a cowboy standing in your room.
Whoa, 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 the lights, the lights, the lights. What's the word? Epilepsy warning.
1. Check to see if you have traveled back to cowboy times. This is easily done by asking.
Have I traveled back to cowboy times?
Step 2. If they say, it is cowboy time, then that explains everything.
Chad, is it cowboy
Step
times?
3. If it is not cowboy times, ask.
Cowboy, why are you here?
4.
Why are you here, cowboy?
Step 4. If they say,
I need your help to find my magical horse, Rex.
go with them, because this kind of thing doesn't happen very often. Step 5. If they don't say that, then this is a bad cowboy.
Bad cowboy.
Bad cowboy.
Bad
Step 6. Deploy anti-cowboy measures.
Oh my God!
Mods, ban the submitter of this video immediately. Why would you try to get rid of cowboy?
Awesome, country boy.
seems like the cycle of death and rebirth.
No. But if it were possible for anyone, it would only be possible for cowboys. Sorry, I didn't realize how loud the fucking video was. What the fuck did you submit to my stream? And why did you do it? That was peak. I've been irrevocably changed. Okay, I'm gonna watch one more. No. I can watch 2 more from this, but guys, I saw this off stream because it was only 19 seconds, but isn't this just the best fucking Lucy Pyre brain rot ever? Come from a dick! 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 How many loops of come from a dick, Pyre, could you handle? Because the answer's about to be at least one more. Come from a dick! 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 If anybody in your life doesn't know who I am, just send them this video and they'll understand me. They'll understand me, okay? Out of all of these, I don't know which one to choose. I'll just do the next one in the lineup. This is a Linux shill video. I'm very hesitant to watch this, you know, but it's from PewDiePie. I don't know, maybe he'll have something worth saying in here, but I'm very cautious of the Linux shills.
Oh, you little guy. Oh.
Why is he talking to me like this?
You poor boy. You disgusting little thing.
He knows I haven't showered.
Oh, what happened
I'm
to
showering after this stream.
Oh, look at yourself. You're the blob from I Have No Mouth But I Must Scream. Oh, who did this to you? Was it Windows? Oh, Mac OS? Oh, don't worry. I can save you.
Fuck Windows 11.
Install Linux. What if I told you
I don't
you can look
want
like this?
to.
Anyway, let me start this off by saying I am not a tech guy. You saw my PC building video. It's all bent. I'm surprised the whole thing hasn't exploded. It's like sitting next to a bomb every day. But what you did see was 0.5 seconds of the video where I installed Linux on the thing, and a lot of people just went, what? Some people seem surprised and confused.
Something possessed him to put Linux on.
But guys, what about all of the games and things and programs that don't work with fucking Linux?
Some people were excited. At the time, I didn't know the power that I had. I was like a baby with a rocket launcher. For years, I have been tortured by Windows. But now,
They basically
alas,
all work.
I am finally
Basically.
free. I escaped the Windows cave. I saw the sun. The shadows are gone. It blinded me for a moment. And now I'm speaking to you in the cave. Enough reference. Okay, so I'm gonna yap about Linux for as long as this video is, and you're gonna listen. I want to start off by going through the reasons why I switched to Linux. It's different for everybody. Number one is how backlit this shot is. Number one, Windows talks to me like I'm a baby. Now, mentally, I might be, but that does not warrant.
You want
Candy Crush? You want Candy Crush on your computer? You want to use Bing? Yes. Are you sure you want to delete that file? Are you super duper sure you want to delete the file? That's how it talks to me, and I don't like it! Linux, on the other hand, literally puts a gun in your hand and says, do it. You're God now. My first...
This is not convincing me to take Linux because I am the baby. I am the baby that things like Windows were designed for so that I wouldn't explode my own fucking device.
First sort of aha moment when I installed Linux or started using it was, wait a minute, it does exactly what I want it to do. And there's just a really powerful feeling about that. I do want to show you guys my setup as well. I will get into that. But first, reason number two, as an epic minimalist, the bloat. The bloat is real. It always bothered me. Anytime I install a new Windows, I spent like an hour.
I would never tell someone who installs Linux to shut the fuck up and die in a plane crash. But if it happened, my first question would be, that's a very tragic story, but Did he have Linux installed on his computer?
Trying to uninstall all the pre-packaged BS that I don't want. Windows is like, I know you paid $100 or whatever for me, but I'm still gonna put ads in here. Yes, put a little AI in here. You want that?
Bro, imagine paying money for Windows.
Right? That doesn't benefit me. It's for you, the consumer. Bing! It doesn't benefit me that you use Bing, but please use Bing. Microsoft is an annoying suite, apparently. With Linux, nothing. Serenity. Peace. Don't even get me started on the Windows taskbar. You control what's on your computer. Duh, it's obvious. How is this not a thing? Reason number 3, customization. I discovered this afterwards. Customizing on Linux is a beautiful thing. On Windows, you can maybe change your wallpaper, change a little bit of colors, whoopity-doo.
Oh, great. So now I can have a new thing to procrastinate with and not fucking get anything done because I'm too busy changing the fucking appearance of my little web browser. Dude, I already do this with wallpapers. I can't find another excuse.
Linux, you can change reality itself. Since Linux is built modular, you can swap out your GUI entirely. You don't even have to use one. You can cut off the head of Linux and it'll still be like, hey, I'm here, what's up? Customizing on Linux is called rising, and I got way too into it.
Rising? No, Linux is like cryptocurrency, man. These people are living in a different world. They have different terms, different words, vocabulary.
Now, reason number 4, gaming. Gaming on Linux is finally real. I actually installed Linux 15 years ago. That's right, I'm old. And I uninstalled it after like a couple days, as a lot of people do, when they realize, oh, I can't use the things I need on Linux.
Yeah! Yes! Exactly.
And for me, that was gaming back then, because it's like, well, then what's the point? But now, gaming the Linux at last. So Valve came in like Gandalf in Helm's Deep, riding a Steam Deck with Proton. So I think this is a perfect example how Linux.
Oh my god, was he paid by Linux to shill this shit? Because Linux has always had the reputation that like you can't use it to actually play video games, and now that they fixed it, but it's hard to undo because it's like Microsoft Edge. They tried to, like, Internet Explorer used to be so bad, and then they tried to fix it, and now it's actually decent, but then people just remember how bad Internet Explorer was, and so nobody uses it, and Linux is the same thing.
Everyone. The fact that Valve as a company recognized maybe Microsoft has a bit too much power, if they wanted to, and started being shady, locking things down.
Listen, he's being paid in clout from the Linux developers as we speak. He's in their DMs glazing his cock, and they're saying, wow, Pewdie, that video you made shilling us, saying how great we are and how much better we are than the other OS softwares, that was really good. You're such a smart man, Pewdie. You're so intelligent. You're the smartest man I've ever seen in my entire life. And they're slobbing on that knob, and guess what? It's fucking working.
Down, taking cuts. They absolutely could, and it's not like it would be uncharacteristic for them to do. So Valve started improving gaming on Linux, boosted driver support, and they built on what was already there from open source software like Wine. By doing this, Valve benefits, consumer benefits, ecosystem grows, win, win, win. It really feels like
one thing I don't like about watching Flesh streamers or like Flesh content creators is when you can see them spit in the camera.
An alternate reality. This totally could not have been a thing. And it also makes me realize just how many things can be better if people just weren't so greedy. Can we just fix them? So thank you, Linux, and thank you, Base Gaben. Now I've gone through the reasons why I switched to Linux. Let me just explain why I maybe not switching.
I open my mouth when that happens. Mods, can you investigate this chatter? Do like an age check. Fuck it, yeah, I don't even care. Just, okay, you know what? I know I have on good word that they're 16, so you should fucking ban them, blow them out of orbit.
Because everything good comes with a sacrifice. If you're swapping to Linux, you'll likely have to give something up. I don't know what it is, but for me, it was Photoshop. I used Photoshop, again, for 15 years. All the shortcuts, all my workflow, it's all baked into my brain. The way I use Photoshop, I don't think about it. It's just, here's the thumbnail. It's not beautiful, but I...
He's so good at Photoshop. He came second place in some big-ass Photoshop competition, and then he's just like, the way I use Photoshop, I just don't think about it. It's like second nature to me. I just do a little magic, and then the thumbnail is done.
Get the job done. Unfortunately, Adobe is a garbage company, and their software just won't run on Linux. A lot of artists are jumping ship. They don't want to use Adobe anymore because they realize it's a terrible company. Me as well, I thought, you know what? It's time. I'll swap over. I know the open source alternative is GIMP. I've heard about this forever, and I thought, you know, it'll feel good. I'll feel good leaving Adobe. So I'm ready. I go to their website, I click through the 1,000 pages, I crawl through the bushes just to find the goddamn unsubscribe button, and I was so...
I cannot believe that PewDiePie pays for Adobe software.
Ready. I was gonna be like, fuck you, Adobe. Just unsubscribe. You know what happens? You know what happens? they hit me with an unsubscription fee. Yes.
It's gonna cost you $60 to not give us money.
Those.
Typical Adobe shit.
I'm sorry, what? I have to pay to not use your software? It was like $65 or something. It's insane. What the
You should not pay for Adobe products. I didn't say you shouldn't use them, but you should not pay for them. This company fucking hates you.
If anything, it just made me realize, okay, it's over. I'm never going back. So like I said, the open source alternative is GIMP. GIMP! And since this is Linux, open source, you can do whatever you want. I downloaded this icon pack that changed the icons so they look like the Photoshop icons.
Oh my god, it's
Then I
GIMP
downloaded
code.
a shortcut command list that
GIMP
matches the one on
code.
Photoshop. Boom, made it a little easier. You know, I'm still not 100% used to it, but the fact that I can do stuff like this really helps. For me, personally, a worthy sacrifice. I hope this doesn't sound like copium, but generally, it feels good that I was able to do
bro.
At the end of the day, some tools are only gonna work on Windows and only gonna work on Mac, but what you gain on Linux is so much more. Read them. Join us. I'm just praying that Adobe is not just gonna show up one day and be like, there's another fee. I'll meet them in a dark alleyway. They'll be like, there's a little fee. Now that I've convinced you to swap to Linux, you have the wonderful choice of picking a distro. Yay, so many of them.
What the fuck is that?
I hear people going like, I don't know which one to pick. What do I do? There's so many.
distro?
Just pick one. It's a wonderful thing that you can choose. Don't you understand? The world is your flavor. Look at all these spices. I went with Mint because it's the same one that I installed 15 years ago, and I knew that it was beginner friendly and that it still holds up. It very much
Like
feels
a
like Windows,
brand?
just better, okay? You don't even need to touch the scary terminal. If you
It's
don't want to, you don't
complicated.
have to. It's okay. You should though. Now,
He goes into so much detail about this, guys, that I am fucking convinced he is shilling for Linux somehow, okay? He's getting some type of inner fulfillment from doing this.
let's jump into my computer really quick. Oh, look at that. I'm recording with OBS. Open source is always the best source. Couldn't get Bandicam. They didn't have a Bandicam. I can't believe I paid for that. There's like free versions everywhere. That's so much better. Okay. All right. So this is the terminal. You probably heard about it in Linux. Feels a bit strange at the beginning. Let me just show you how it works. But first, wait. Oh, yes, today's sponsor. 3, 2.
It's so fucking over. It was Linux.
And then I have my laptop, which I call Dionysus, because I wanted to mess around with it. Dionysus is the one I really went hard on the rising. But I just wanted to show some terminal commands really quick, just so you get an idea how it works. I talked about this in my last video, but the first thing that really blew my mind with Linux, I just noticed my computer was booting kind of slowly. So I found this command called system deanalyze, and it tells you exactly how long it takes for your computer to actually load and what part takes a certain amount of time. And it used to be like 45 seconds. I was like,
I won't understand any of that shit.
dude, this is terrible. So then I found another command called blame, and then you can see exactly what part is kind of slowing down your system, which got me into like really optimizing it. And I had so much fun doing that. And it just made me realize, just like on Windows, if my computer is kind of slow, you just kind of deal with it. It's like, oh, okay, well, what can you do? On Linux, it's like,
Lucy, please understand.
the world
we
is your
believe in
oyster. You can
it's
fix
so
it.
over.
Personally, I like that kind of stuff. The second thing that blew my mind with the Linux terminal was just how fast it is at searching. Searching on Windows is so annoying. It takes forever. Sometimes it doesn't even find the file.
I will give them that. Searching on Windows for a file that you can't remember where you put it is the worst fucking thing ever.
Even though you type the name of it perfectly. And a lot of times they just Bing it. They're like, oh, you want to search for your file? Oh, maybe. No, actually, you want to look it online. That's what you want to do. It's like, no. Linux, you can find any file, whatever you want. This is searching all JPEGs on my computer. That's a bad example, actually.
This is
The
the
other thing that I
one
love about it is that you
point
don't
that
have
I'm
to
like,
just search the
Danny has a
file. You
point.
can also search text inside the file. So let's say you forgot what the file is called, but you remember roughly some stuff inside it. You can grep it, and bada bing, bada boom. What the hell is this? Spotify password text.
Balls
deep. I did not do that. What?
Balls
Searching files on Linux is super fast. It made me realize just how it should be on a computer again. The most obvious thing with the terminal is that, let's say you install the operating system and you need to also put all the programs that you want to use on it. Usually you have to go on the browser, Google it, look up their page, go to their download page, dodge all the fake ads and all that crap, and do that and install and run each one, wait for it to install, yada yada. It takes forever. On Linux, you just go sudo apt install, what do we want? We want VLC, Firefox, OBS Studio, boom, thank you. And now I can sit there.
Okay, this is a fair feature? What if it's not your first... Wait, what if it's your first time installing something, though? I would still want to go to the web page and make sure that I'm, like, even getting the fucking name right in the first place. But then there's also... This is one time! This is one time, dude! This is when you set up the computer. One-time download.
And look at the screen and feel like I'm a hacker. Yes, I know what all of this means. Every single letter I'm soaking in with my brain. There's so much you can do with the terminal. It's insanely powerful. I can make a whole video about it, but I don't want to keep this too long-winded. And in reality, I just want to show you my rise on my laptop, to be honest. That's the whole reason I'm making this video.
He's flexing. Dude, he's flexing his tech knowledge. That's him.
Old laptop. I mean, it's not that old, but I just never used it because I didn't really like using it. I mentioned before there's many distros of Linux, and I wanted to try one called Arch, partially because of the meme. It's kind of become a meme because it's a little difficult to install Arch, so it's like a flex to use it. For some reason, I went on a god run and I had no issue. I always get stuck on the dumbest ever for like 12
I don't care how you pronounce it. Fuck off, mod.
hours. I don't know what happened that time. But I also wanted to download Arch because it's a minimalist distro. Whatever you put, or at least 90% of it, is there because you decided to put it there. And it's also very highly customizable, which are two elements that I love, so I knew I was going to love it. All right, let's go into my laptop. I think it makes sense for me to show it without any customization first because it will just be confusing and I need to talk to people that haven't used Linux. My first favorite thing, which I have on Mint as well, is just shortcuts on my keyboard to open programs, open terminal, open file manager, open browser, close it, whatever, it's all there. It's such a nice workflow and have a more keyboard-centric way of using your computer, especially on a laptop.
I feel like it's for hackers only. Linux for the hackers only.
But even in general, you know, the whole like,
interface.
okay, let me click on the start menu and just find the thing. If I don't have it keybind, I can open Rofi.
I mean, if you value minimalism.
And just search for it and open it. I don't want to over-explain things as well, but yeah, this is my terminal on the setup. I'm using Alacrity, and this is NeoFetch, which shows my specs. And usually people have an ASCII art. It sounds like I'm saying ASCII. ASCII, I'll call it ASCII, of their distro. And if you saw my Mint one earlier, I was like,
I've daily driven Linux for work for 20 years. If this video is making you consider using Linux, just turn around and don't come back. Dude, I don't think this is gonna convince me to change to Linux, no.
Oh, it wouldn't be cool if I do like my own custom ASCII. And then I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I do my own animated ASCII? So I figured out how to do that. It took a little bit of tinkering and schminkering, but it's just so nice to look at. I love it. So I'm running Hyperland, which is this beautiful tile manager. It automatically sorts it for me whenever I open something. This is such a nice workflow, and I can close it all as well. You can literally open these until infinite. When you're on a laptop, when you have limited screen space, it's such a great way to work with it. The fact that they're always there means I never have to look for them because I know they're there. And if my workspace is full, I can look at this.
Looks like shit.
Swap to another one. This is workspace number 2 and workspace number 4. I've been recording OBS from here. Let's say I'm working on a project on workspace 1. I can then work on another thing on workspace 2 and go back and forth vice versa instantly. I love this way of using a computer. It's so sick. The first thing I really loved about this Arch Hyperland setup was just how quick and smooth it looks, at least. You know, like boom, oh, open. It's so nice. But then I open my browser and it's like,
I mean, it doesn't really look like anything. It's hard to say if it looks smooth or not.
Again. Oh, that took forever. And it loads so ugly. So my first thought, okay, well, maybe I can upgrade my SSD to make it snappier.
We need to have real problems in life. Bro, he's over here saying it loads so ugly. I have never had a criticism of a fucking OS, and the criticism was, wow, it loads so ugly. What do you mean?
Then I thought, I'm on Linux. I can do whatever I want. So let's run a time here, Firefox. Let's ignore the CSS errors. I tinkered a bit too much. Don't worry about it. What was that? 2 seconds. But not good enough. So I figured out a way, and it's so dumb. I won't explain how I did it, but the fact that I was able to do it, boom, instant. Boom, 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 boom! I love it. I love it so much. It's these small things that makes you really fall in love with using Linux. Anyway, the first thing I customized was Waybar. Oh, I forgot to say I can move around as well if I want to. Anyway, and move them to a different workspace. So yeah, this is my taskbar. It's like the Windows taskbar, except you decide exactly what's on it and customizing it. I put calendar, turn it on and off, internet, Bluetooth, quick.
You know what? This is not convincing me to change my main OS to Linux, but it is making me feel like it might not be that big of a deal if I bought like a handheld console PC thing that had Linux as the operating software.
Access to all these things, you know? I really enjoy this as well. It's basically just tells me if I'm connected to NordVPN or not, and I can toggle by clicking on it, and it tells me which country I'm connected to. Up here, it shows which workspace I'm using.
If you're an iPhone user, don't even try to go to Linux. Okay, well, first of all, fuck you. I have no choice but to use iPhone for my job because my fucking facial tracking software is in iOS. It is not my fault. I refuse to take responsibility for this as a woman and also as a VTuber. I will not be abandoning my iPhone. I'm sorry to you. However, I will let you know, first of all, I'm super tech savvy. I'm like the tech savvy girl in my family. It's true. I can solve all the problems. You want to know how I solve them? I Google it.
Since I'm have this reactor in the background, I thought it'd be cool to like LARP as if each workspace was each reactor. I'm on reactor A, there's reactor B, C, and D where it's recording OBS. Then I have my battery bar, which is ASCII. I keep saying ASCII, which is ASCII art. I got the volume.
Can I just say, when I was like watching Bao's stream, the one where she had like her serious talk and like she was sad, it was heartbreaking to watch. But also when I saw her community posting the head pat emote, her fucking head pat has her drooling horny. So it was just listening to Bao extremely upset and sobbing and looking at her fans like spamming the head pat emote, which is her in a horny moment. So yeah, that was a little bit of emotional whiplash, like moving my eyes left and right there.
And you know, look, if my volume goes too low, it gets red, it's critical. Just to really LARP the whole nuclear reactor UI. To me, it's cool, I like it. All right, the second thing I did was making widgets with ew. Ew was a nightmare, I'm not gonna lie. Here we go. Let me also change the wallpaper really quick, one second. All right, so this is my desktop. Let me play some music actually. So first I added this visualizer because I just saw a lot of people doing it. It's using Kava, but I changed it again with ASCII. So it looks a little more matrix and accurate. Here we have my uptime, just how long it's been running, and how much until my battery is out. I should probably charge my laptop. CPU temp, I should probably change, cool it down a bit. All of this is, it changes, it's not just like visual flare.
I feel like seeing the temps on your PC 24/7 is just gonna make you paranoid about it, and it's gonna lead you going to Reddit on fucking PC forums, and you're gonna be like, how do I lower my GPU temperature by 3? I think it's a little bit too high. And people are like, your GPU temperature is totally fine for what you're doing. And they're like, no, I feel like I can change it. I feel like I can make it better. It's like monitoring anything constantly. It makes you like super self-conscious about it.
Well, it is, but CPU load, which changes, RAM usage, storage. This tells me which
I want my computer to tell me when my temps are too high.
B. Power consumption, completely useless, but I needed it to look cool. And then we have my 2 fans for CPU and GPU, and then this little spinny fan thing.
Do you have
to
anxiety?
Show it.
Yes.
Upload and download, latency, and then just another VPN thing. It's kind of pointless. And then basic weather. And then finally, to make it sort of all work together, I added a script that basically scans if I'm using a window. So if I open or close, it sort of transitions in and out of waybar because I don't need it on both. That's just like too much information in my opinion. So this is on my desktop. It's just a nice vibe here. We just chill over here, and then when I'm in workflow, it blackens it all out.
Linux may not change your life, but it will change your personality. It will make you a billionaire who is posting videos about Linux where you're telling everyone how tech savvy you are now. Okay, listen, it's okay to use Linux. It's okay.
And I can just get going on my schmingy thingy.
I'm not mad.
Oh, and in the middle here,
I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
I forgot to say, it has power profiles, my laptop, so I thought it'd be cool to change them. It's silenced, balanced, or power mode, but I changed it to Razgon, which means overclock. You see my fans are spinning, and these are faster as well, because the fans are spinning more. This is so sick to me, because I'm remembering what this laptop used to be running Windows. I never wanted to use it, I hated it. Now it went from a hardware that I never used to my favorite piece of hardware, because it not just looks great, it runs great. I love it. It's so sick. I had so...
Was it your first time using Windows laptop? Damiel Byakuya, thank you for the sub, welcome.
So much fun customizing this. It was just a blast. Yeah, I hope you guys appreciate it as well. I've been doing so much more. I built this camera as well. Like I mentioned earlier, you can communicate with Linux even without a graphical user interface GUI. That made me so excited because I'm like, wait, that means I can use other computers at my disposal. For some reason, to me, that's just like really cool. And I wanted to try.
Guys, I'm not a tech guy, but I made a fucking camera.
What I could do with it. I want to show this in another video maybe because I feel like
you're not beating the Linux is only for tech bros accusations.
Just tinkering, messing around, feeling like a hacker. But I gotta be real as well. Linux is not perfect. There's a lot of issues. A good example is, again, my laptop. When I first installed Arch, none of my F keys worked. Actually, sorry, 3 out of 12 worked out of the box. So I had spent a long time bringing them back to life. For me, it was kind of fun. I was like, oh, got another one working. Like, okay, let's move on to the next one. But I can imagine for a lot of people that just want things to work, you know, maybe this is not for you. And maybe it should work, you know?
Maybe this is not for you, he says at the very end.
I think since Linux is not as popular on desktop as Windows or Mac, this is just the reality. There's just not enough support for it. On Linux, if something doesn't work, it's kind of up to you to fix it. And yeah, that's just how it is. I was trying to update my drivers for my GPU, and I got a black screen 6 times. And I had to do a hard restore every time. It's, you know, not the most fun thing in the world. There are other things I could rather be doing, which is why I need you to install Linux, so the more people we can get together, the better Linux becomes.
What the hell? No, hold on.
On Linux, if something doesn't work, it's kind of up to you to fix it. And yeah, that's just how it is. I was trying to update my drivers for my GPU, and I got a black screen 6 times.
I was trying to update my drivers for my GPU and I got a black screen 6 times and it wasn't really fun and not what I wanted to be doing, which is why you should use Linux so that you can run into all of these problems and enough people run into the problems that eventually we can fix them. You should suffer with me so I can use Linux better. He saved the real point of the video for the very end. This is not a good ad.
I had to do a hard restore every time. It's, you know, not the most fun thing in the world. There are other things I could rather be doing, which is why I need you to install Linux, so the more people we can get together, the better Linux becomes.
No way.
And I get it now. Like, that's why people were so excited about me using Linux, because Linux is not a product, it's a platform. And it also already exists.
I can't believe it. This sounds like a cult.
It's everywhere. NASA, SpaceX, it runs on Linux. All the supercomputers, your TV, your smart fridge, your phone if it's Android, it's all Linux, baby. I think it's just so cool, the fact that this all happened because one Finnish guy in like the 90s just decided, hey, I can write a better kernel. Finnish naivety, typical Finnish behavior. They think they can do anything. But without that, you know, things would have been very different. At least there wouldn't be an alternative.
My opinion
I just think
of
it's
the
so cool
Finnish
that people
is
saw what
dropping.
it did, got excited, and wanted to join in. So please consider
Tread
joining
carefully,
in.
you
Now,
might
if you're
reach
just a little
French
bit
level.
curious, I recommend trying Linux. Maybe try dual booting it if you're not sure. You can still keep your Windows or whatever. You're gonna kill it later. You might as well kill it now. Test it out. Break it. Get upset. On Linux, I feel alive at last. At long last. Thank you for watching. Let me just type out my goodbye.
Is this like a midlife crisis type of moment for Pewds? Like, is he struggling? Or... Because it really has the vibe of a guy who's like doing a cry for help by doing weird shit that's never been done by them before. You know what I mean? So anyway, we're gonna raid Rosie Bell Moo. Take the Linux pill, bro. Take the Linux pill, bro. Don't you want to use Linux? Don't you also want to go through 50 black screens and struggle every single day? Take the fucking Linux pill, bro. Open up, stick your tongue out. I'm gonna gently place this Linux pill on your tongue. It's so good, it's so good. That's why we need more people to use it so we can run into more errors and eventually troubleshoot them all. Please use Linux. Please use Linux. Yeah, you can't use your pirated copy of Adobe Photoshop, but you can install GIMP and you can cope. You can cope by downloading an extension that changes the icons to look like Photoshop so you can pretend that you're using Photoshop while you're not actually using Photoshop. Take the Linux pill, bro. It's so good. I love the Linux pill. Don't you remember that epic rap battle with Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and then Linux shows up at the end and he's like, I'm coming out the socket. Nothing you can do to stop it. I'm in your lap and in your pocket. What you gonna do when I control the rocket? Your girl just doesn't impress me. So go ahead and try to impress me. I'll stomp on a Mac and a PC too. I'm a Linux, bitch. I thought you knew. Like, yeah. So take the Linux pill. Satsuri, thank you for the 17 months. I appreciate it. Yeah, Linux raid today this is a Linux raid. Make your raid message Linux raid. I love Linux. We all love Linux. I'm gonna install Linux right now. I love it when my shit doesn't work, and I love being a failure, and I love having no tech knowledge. It's great, and it's gonna serve me well. Chatty love. I will see you again next week. Mwah! Bye-bye!